And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, and amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the most fun way is sitting down with those designers to play their games. For the last 4 Saturday nights, including tonight, we have been doing exactly that in our Apocalypse Keys 4-part series, which we don't do a lot of series, but I got to play test Apocalypse Keys, and I knew I wanted to play it on stream. So I asked Rae if they would play a whole bunch with us, and he said yes. Rae, always good to have you on. For people who maybe missed the first few parts, why don't you tell people a little about who you are, what you do, and what Apocalypse Keys is all about?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Rae. My pronouns are he, they. And yeah, I'm super happy to be here. Apocalypse Keys is a Powered by the Apocalypse game about powerful monsters who are holding back the apocalypse, but could perhaps become harbingers themselves. They themselves could like bring about the apocalypse if they're not careful. So it is a very big game of big emotions, big powers, and it's been a lot of fun playing it here on Plus One XP for the last few weeks. It's been very, very cool. And we're currently on Kickstarter, and we're doing well, right? Since we last checked in, we got quite a few stretch goals unlocked, which is absolutely wild. We got Josh's stretch goal of the playbook, the Chained, unlocked. So Yeah, it's been really, really good.
Awesome. I've had a blast. Speaking of Josh, we'll hop right over there. Josh, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do? Also, tell us who you're playing. Let's catch everybody up on the types of characters we have going on.
Sure. Hi, hello. I'm Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I like to make tabletop role-playing games and game-related things. I talk about it sometimes on Twitter over at Ostrich Monkey, and you can find said games and game-related things that I publish over on itch.io, also at Ostrich Monkey. I like things that are a little spooky, a little weird, frequently both. It's a good time. The character I am playing, I'm using the Hungry playbook. I'm playing Nero, who is a sort of fragment of dream nightmare who has taken on a questionable life of his own, has a particular arrogant streak, very confident, even though he does make questionable choices quite frequently. Has a mysterious kinship and connection to Tony's character, and I think is starting to learn to respect, fear Sherri's character.
Awesome. I love it. I have enjoyed playing with Nero. Also, we mentioned we just unlocked a stretch goal, or the stretch goal for yours had just been unlocked. Tell us about the Chained.
Yeah, so I now have the delightful opportunity to write the Chained, which is the sort of core identity of the Chained is you have this horrible, monstrous power that is bound to you, chained to you, and you are kind of chained to division and all this stuff for everybody else's protection, but you're also bound to this mysterious handler character, whether it's an agent of the division or something else. So there is this sense of obligation and responsibility, but it's like offloaded to this mysterious figure who's using you in their own schemes and a pawn. So you are this horrible monster to be feared, a tool to be used, or maybe something else. So I am deep in the weeds on figuring out all of the fun details and mechanics of how it's going to work.
Awesome. Very excited. Then we have Sherri. Sherri, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about this character that that Nero has come to fear somewhat.
Oh, yes, I don't understand any of that. So I'm Sherri. I use she, her pronouns. And essentially, sometimes you can hear me as one of the co-hosts of the Gauntlet podcast. Mostly, though, I play games. I love playing games. And for the past couple of years, I've been playing a lot of Rae's games and Apocalypse Keys. I've gotten to see it from the start. And then as it polished and grew and got more and more what it was meant to be, and now it is a beautiful, beautiful creature that is terrifying to me. Within that, I am playing the Shade, who has a very strong relationship. They stand between life and death, and they are, how do you say, probably closer to death than they are to life anymore. They go for logic and reasoning, and they will do whatever it takes to be significant, I think, and that's what can make them kind of dangerous. And I have no idea why Nero would fear Eliza. It makes no sense whatsoever. So
awesome.
It's all good.
And to catch everybody up, I am playing the final side before closing of eyes, also known as Finn. That sound is my name. I am one of originally 26 tears that a primordial god of dreaming cried as it was dying. We fell to earth, it took human form. And I used my power to influence people for years and years, and then kind of decided I didn't want to do that as much, and now work for Division, fighting to hold back the apocalypse, working behind the scenes. And we've seen kind of a return over the course of the last couple of three sessions to some of my old power and the reason why I avoided a lot of it. And so I have been having an absolute blast playing Finn, stealing the Shade's mentor, making them fall in love with me, and then convincing them to fight to the death They were already dead once. It's fine. It happens.
Totally fine.
And so,
and they've died like numerous times with every loop. So
yeah,
it's not your fault.
So it happens. Literally again and again. So it's been a lot of fun. We are about to dive back in, but we use a couple tools here on stream. We use lines, veils, the X card, the open door policy, unless the system dictates other tools be in place. We already have discussed and reviewed our lines and veils beforehand and been using them for the last few weeks. We didn't have anything to add this week, but we have a sheet where all those in play. We do have one against harm to domesticated animals, which will has been fun to talk about based on our cliffhanger from last week. But just a reminder that the X card is usable, so we can always say X, type X to pause the game and identify if there's an issue that's coming up that we need to clarify or add to that list or address in a different manner. And we'll move forward either removing that content or addressing it in the way that we discussed. And the open door policy is the fact that we might have to get up, move around, talk to people off screen. We will take breaks throughout the course of things. You should take care of yourself and do the exact same thing whenever you need to, and we will also. With that said, we are about to dive back in, but I'm going to hand things over to Rae to kind of take us into that process.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be a really good keeper this time and not forget to do a little bit of character upkeep. So one of the things that we do at the start of Apocalypse Keys, aside from reviewing our safety tools and checking in, is we also check in if there's anything we'd like to tweak about our character. But very importantly, we pick out our impulses. So impulses are an opportunity for us to earn XP and ruin at the end of the session, but it's also a way to like tell us, right, as players, what we're interested in possibly engaging with for the session. So yeah, I think we're gonna go and then once we do that, we'll like jump into the mystery review, see where we're at, right? Yeah, let's start with Dread Archivist Eliza Corbin. When I rewatched a video, because like I was trying to take notes, because I have this horrible tendency to just say a lot of things and make things up on the spot. So I have to I usually take notes afterwards, but I haven't been able to do that. So I had to rewatch it. I was like, wow, I've been really mean to Sherri this these last few sessions. But so Sherri, what impulse would you like to pick for
there's
Eliza?
So many good ones. Let's see here. I kind of like I like that whole thing of finding someone to make it worth going on living.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
I mean, I kind of like, the witch, but I think clearly I need an absolute crowd because everyone steals everyone I ever care about. So
yeah, if you care about the oldest witch too much, who knows what's going to happen to
them.
them.
I know. Will it be Nero who takes them away or Finn? Oh, it'll be Finn.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Nero could just eat them, so we'll see.
Yes, we'll see.
But yeah. Yeah, that sounds excellent. All right. And then Josh, how about for Nero, which impulse are you picking for? You're hungry.
So I have picked the always exciting. Did you surrender to the hunger within you at the worst possible moment?
Oh no, trigger last session. Very good. Right. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Totally fine. Considering this cliffhanger we're on, and we're about to get into again. Okay, excellent. And Tony, how about for Finn? What impulse did you choose for them?
Last time I had, did you taunt or seduce those who would seek to destroy you? And it was a lot of fun because I did a lot of it. I think, did you bless the weak with the immeasurable glory of your presence? I don't know if Finn will get there. It's really not his thing, but the track he's currently on, he might. And so I was talking last time at the end, like I do love playing Apocalypse Keys because it's one of the few systems where I do feel like my own character will surprise me with the things they do. And I think the impulses really help kind of push us in some of those directions. But I've been really excited to follow along behind Finn as he makes decisions sometimes. So.
Oh, that's such a great way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Yeah, I love how Apocalypse Keys is a game of surprises. I definitely tried to design that as an intention. So very cool. Okay, so we have our impulses, quotation mark, locked in. I don't want it to feel like it's such a hardcore thing. It's not really. And now we're going to review the state of our mystery. So we are in the oldest house. So just to briefly summarize, the oldest house is an ancient dimension entity thing that has been around for a long time, perhaps before time itself fully formed. And we know that the oldest house is caught up between this war, in this war between Oracle and Division. So Division is the agency that you work for in order to hold back the apocalypse. Oracle's a little more mysterious. We're not exactly sure what Oracle wants. We just learned a few sessions ago that Oracle wants to take over Division's duties, as it were, is how it was worded when Nero received that call from our mysterious other, perhaps the Harbinger, perhaps someone else. Yeah, and so far you have come across strange characters caught up in the oldest house. An important thing of note is this is our 13th loop, right? Our 13th attempt. We found out through horrifying circumstances last time that even though there are several copies of you that have mostly survived each attempt until Nero started eating them, there has never been other versions of the oldest cat. So we found out that the oldest cat, this was like the really shocking key we found, has never survived a single loop. And we found out that Eliza has at least once, we don't know how many times, but at least once, killed the oldest cat in order to force a reset. We don't know how that works exactly, just that is what is likely to happen. So we just know that we have to get to the ancient door power before the Harbingers do. Presumably this means Oracle. But I also want to stress, like, everything I'm saying right now is still up for debate once we unlock Doom's Door, right? Because it's up to our players to dictate what the truth of things are and see how nice the dice are about it. So now's a good time to review the keys. So the keys we have so far are the corpse of one of the tiers, specifically Finn's siblings, right, was fed a painting in a strange ritual. We found out last time that this wretched creature that was involved in this ritual and a few other things is the needle and thread, right? A harbinger, a former harbinger that was fed to Nero in order to give Nero more power, right? For Nero to become an Omen class monster. Second key is an underground facility of Division experimented on monsters. And the third one is a phone booth built into an improbable place. A skeleton made of obsidian rests inside. It is connected to the source of dreams. And the service weapon, which Eliza has. Oh my gosh, I forgot Eliza has the service weapon in front of the oldest cat. This is very bad. The oldest witch trusted Eliza. Okay, anyway, I'm just here being shocked. Not like I didn't just watch the video, right, last night. Okay, so the service weapon changes form depending on whoever wields it. A pistol, a mythic hammer, a holy sword, a whip of chains. Our next key is a painting of an abandoned bunker full of shadows. The figures move closer and closer. But one of the Neros stepped in and consumed the shadows. And second to the last key is a micro cassette recorder. Eliza recognized their own voice, talking about, like, from the last reset, supposedly. We're not quite sure, but one of the resets at least. And we learned that Eliza was frustrated that Vincent dies in, like, every loop, right? This is something that death keeps taking from her over and over again. Her dear friend / assistant / something more. So yeah, and like I mentioned, the last key we learned is that in every loop, the oldest cat never survives. So we are currently at, for our complexity 6 mystery, we are at 4 ticks out of 6. So I have to stress that once we hit the doomsday clock, once it fills up, it is the worst case scenario, right, that we will have to face. The goal, hopefully, is to try to get to the door before the doomsday clock ticks down, but it's not I was going to say it's not the end of the world. It kind of is a little bit, almost. But you have a chance to one last chance, right? Just in the worst circumstances. I want to stress that. That is so funny how I had that tendency to say it's not the end of the world. Okay. So with that in mind, do we have any questions about the mystery as it stands? Anything we want to clarify? Any questions that come to mind.
Did we review our facets at all? Do we want to talk about?
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so the facets of the mystery, stuff that we just have to keep in mind is that we'll have to connect the keys to later, right? When we form a theory, are stolen secrets, presumably. These are secrets that were stolen in the war between Oracle and Division. This could mean something else when we're clarifying later. We also have time restarting. So those time loops we've been talking about, the Harbinger, the Door of Power, and finally, the oldest house's investigation on the nature of humanity, right, is a part of this. So yeah, those are our facets. So things to keep in mind as we continue to investigate, right? Good question.
Okay.
Anything else that we'd like to review or ask about?
No, I'm assuming
Before
that Josh didn't write a cool new move for the chain for me to just take as an advance.
I've written like pieces of like 6 other moves,
Yeah,
but no
Oh,
one
cool.
complete move.
no one. That's fine.
6
That's
other
all right.
moves.
And
Don't work too hard. The Kickstarter's not done yet. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
there's a lot of neat ideas, and now it's
Cool,
just
cool.
untangling and then retangling.
Anybody who
Oh,
hasn't
that's
been
so
following
awesome.
along on Twitter, I've been pressuring Josh, or at stream, I've been pressuring Josh to have a move ready for me to be able to take, but it's fine. It's fine. I understand.
Maybe before the end of the session. We
Yeah,
could-
Josh,
Oh,
you
I'm
got a
joking. I'm
couple
joking.
hours.
I'm joking.
No, I literally, one reason I have my notebook out, one, to keep notes of the session, but 2, I was scribbling down ideas for chain
It's like Tony's going to
stuff.
bring this up. I furiously need to scribble along.
I don't know. He was like, "Oh, this is a cool idea."
Yeah.
Write
Oh
this
my
down
god.
before I forget.
That is so awesome. I'm so excited for the chain. Okay. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit on Twitter, but Josh was so instrumental in making sure the playbooks worked at the last part. Okay, so with that, I think it's time to review. So because we are currently at 50% off here at Sword Queen Games for Apocalypse Keys, we've been like hitting those ruin advances a bit faster compared to a normal game of Apocalypse Keys. And usually once you hit quotation mark full rune and you're about to take a rune advance, I've been forgetting this cool little thing. We get a glimpse into who you could possibly be as a harbinger, right? So I think last time we did previously in Apocalypse Keys, but I think this time I'd like to ask each of you to show me what could possibly be ahead of your omen should they become a dreaded harbinger, right? So we kind of have an idea for some of our characters, which is very cool. I see some of our characters, I'm like side-eyeing Eliza a little bit. This has been especially terrifying. See their villain origin story. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, but what do we see for Eliza? Like, this is Eliza in their possible, like, full harbinger form, right? Like, what would this look like? What havoc would they be wrecking upon an unsuspecting world?
It would be that thing that it's everyone who's ever lost someone, their dream come true, that person is back right beside them, just as they were before they died. And everything stays the same then.
Ooh, what a harrowing apocalypse. Yeah, I think we see like, we cut to several people all over the world, right? Just like having moments of intimacy or closeness with that lost loved one, right? Except I think when we pull back, we see the shape of their soul, grotesque and corrupted as it is, right? Slowly corrupting everything around them. Yeah.
Slowly fading to gray.
Ooh, so good. And the whole world just bleeds gray. Oh, it's so delicious. Okay. Yeah, and I'd love to cut to Finn. Finn as a full-on harbinger. This is, one of many possibilities. What would it look like?
Yeah, I think we see somebody who like at first, like when the camera's in the distance, like we think this is Finn, and as we zoom in, we realize there's all these tiny facets that have been changed. There are a lot of things that kind of remind us of Finn, but that we we can see that like the facial features have been changed. It's a much more androgynous appearance overall. They seem to be having an even harder time kind of holding human shape as light and sound kind of ripple out of different parts of their body, and all of a sudden this low tone kind of emits out of them as all 26 names of his siblings are spoken at the same time, and we see light and sound erupt across the globe before everything kind of winks out.
Oh, that is so good. Lovely, lovely. Absolutely love that. Okay, right. And there's just like horrible chorus that can't really be understood or
Right.
felt, right? Of sound and light. Perfect. Yeah. And what do we see of Nero? Right. We've been getting little tastes, little bites here and there.
Hors d'oeuvres. So I think one potential, like a harbinger ascendant for Nero is, you know, sort of fully shedding this illusion of mundane mortal form and like becoming like capital and nightmare, right? I think not only something that feeds on dreams and can kind of manipulate and shift them, but something that actually is like an origin of fear and like fully spreads that through dream, like really becoming, you know, sort of the monster under your bed sort of thing, but in like a very primordial sense.
Wow, that is very, very cool. Right. So we see like everyone like held in the grips of those dreams / nightmares, right? Perfect. Okay. So with that, I'm going to say that from that harrowing flash of what could be, we suddenly abruptly cut to where the three of you are right now in the strange museum-like area of the oldest house. Before I describe what goes on, there's a moment of horrifying clarity as the three of you see the harbingers that you could become. I would like each of you to please mark a condition to reflect how you feel about this possibility before you. So I'm not sure if I'm going to jinx it if I say it, but dear people in chat and watchers, I'm asking folks to mark a condition because I'm tempted to see if we can get one of our characters to a breaking point. We'll see. We'll see what that means. That is an actual mechanic thing. It's not a social thing I'm trying to force upon my friends. I want to be clear. I realize it sounds so awful out of context. But yeah, because in Apocalypse Keys, it's not about if you are knocked unconscious or if you die. There are far worse things than death that can happen. And one of those things are the breaking points for your characters. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, has everyone marked a condition?
Yes.
So Eliza, which condition did you mark? Oh, sorry, you muted.
Wouldn't be me if I didn't try to talk while muted. Essentially, I took distracted, I think, because essentially seeing that and being so disappointed that, yeah, it's like, that's not what she wants either. None of this is what she wants. What did you have to do to get what she wants?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Very cool. Okay. And how about for Finn? What condition did you mark?
I marked lustful. It shows me as embodying cruel, but that's because I was playing around with options and it didn't clear the condition when I took off that option. So I'm just lustful now, right now, not cruel and lustful. I think this kind of like this vision is like what the darkness. One of the things the darkness demands of me is like to potentially unite with my siblings. And so there is almost this unitive quality that he desires. And so I think we're gonna put lustful down there as the condition.
I like that. All right. And last but not least, Nero, what condition did you mark?
Yeah, I marked lonely. I think seeing this potential is, the part of Nero is excited, part of Nero is scared. I think part of Nero also yearns for it, right? Hungers for it even. But seeing this potential of being a being that is at such a scale, I think that would be a very singular sort of existence for Nero, who has spent who knows how long, not necessarily making connections, but spending so much time amongst other things in order to feed on them, right? That I'm not saying these are good or healthy connections, but that something, and then becoming that, sort of severing all of those connections, would be very lonely.
Oh no. Like our lonely
Don't feel
monster.
bad for Nero. He's
I know. I was
terrible.
gonna say. I should have. I had to steel my heart against this. Gosh. Okay. I always fall for the disaster gaze. It's terrible. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we'll describe. So the three of you are in the oldest house. You are trying to reach a director's office, right? But Oracle has waylaid you. Even if they can't directly observe you, they can still cause problems for the three of you. The oldest witch is with you, as is the oldest cat, unfortunately, which we're going to get to in a bit. So we see in this museum, amidst the trophies of the different harbingers and the different aspects of the door, we see for a harrowing moment, like in this museum, is an object that represents the harbingers that each of you could become, right? And so when that realization dawns, that's when we clearly see that Eliza is moving towards the oldest cat, this sharp dagger of death in their hand, the smoke coming off of it, pooling on the floor, like starting to fill the museum. We feel this is like Eliza, the mantle of death is truly upon them, right? We realize how much of death has given their power over to Eliza because she is such a beloved pawn and tool for death. And so death is more than eager to give what power they have in the situation. Advancing upon the oldest cat, who, Eliza, these thoughts like fill you, right? If you can just get this reset, if you could just get this right, you think back to that moment. And once again, I have to stress, you can sense how it's someone else forcing these thoughts into your head, something or someone else. These thoughts are not truly your own, but you go back to that moment again and again, seeing that look of exaltation and worship on Vincent's face before he charged off into the darkness, right? Eager to meet death in order to protect Finn. And we see the oldest cat just blinking and watching Nero, who understands the full weight of what's about to happen. Are we going to force a reset or not? Are we gonna protect the cat or not? So
yeah. I think Nero's, at first is like, okay, Eliza, put the knife down. Real funny. And as Eliza presumably continues to advance, Nero is backing up with the cat, sort of like turning like, no, you can't. We need this dumb cat still. What are you doing, Eliza?
And the cat like brushes up against you, like the way a cat will hide underneath the arm, right? And just purring in fear behind you. And then what do you do?
Seeing that there is no sign of Eliza stopping, do I have any inkling as to why Eliza's being weird right now? I know like Eliza can sort of hear these thoughts and recognizes sort of something else, but is there like an outward impression of interference here, or is it just suddenly like Eliza's snapped and she's got a knife?
I think you've been working with Eliza long enough that you can recognize even the way that they're walking and moving is very unlike her. And as you stare closer, you can see the dream of death, right? Just sort of like rising like above her. And there's a moment when, and we know that you've established earlier when we were creating characters that you don't want death to look at you too closely. But in this moment, you sense the eyes of death, right? And there's it flashes between Eliza's face, whatever this apparition is, and something else. And it comes in close. And Death says, it's true that before death there was only dream. But I dream of the end of all things. Eliza will be my tool to take that end, to make it my own. I will do whatever it takes. But even as death speaks to you, you can tell that this is not true death. This is a dream of death that someone is manipulating. You can sense that. You know very well that dreams can be very good copies and can sometimes like overtake the real thing if it's strong enough. This thing, whatever it is, isn't strong enough just yet.
So I want to eat the dream of death.
I love when we get to say a good thing here.
I almost choked on my tea. Okay, so
yeah, I think
that sounds like a fancy appetizer.
It's right. I think understanding that there is a dream here, Nero is sort of emboldened by this. Like, oh, this is not necessarily the full specter of death. I mean, I think all dreams contain a small kernel of truth being whatever. So it's not like death is completely absent here, but dream is something I can handle, and it's something I've been handling quite a lot lately. So yeah, I want to consume the dream of death that is haunting Eliza.
Ooh.
Also, like, this is potentially a very interesting opportunity for Nero to feed on something so special.
So are we surrendering to the hunger within you? Are we activating the gnawing edge of hunger move, or did you have something else in mind?
Yeah, I was potentially a gnawing edge of hunger, I think works. Either that or like unleash the dark. So I think
yeah
are
I think it depends on like which one you'd like to. Unleash the dark is definitely the more aggressive, violent take, right? While the gnawing edge of hunger is more like you consuming death. So
or sorry, I meant power through darkness. Depends how
the scale of
you
things.
think, and the scale that the dream of death is relative to Nero, I think.
Yeah I think in this moment, because you realize that because you have been feeding on the other versions of Nero, and the other Neros have like gone feral even more than you, my dear. This dream is very powerful, right? This is based on the surviving Elizas from the previous loops, right? So I'm gonna say, like, if we're gonna go for it, it'll definitely be like power through darkness. This is an extreme example.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively take 2 darkness tokens for embodying the gluttonous hunger condition that I have, because I want to eat the dream of death.
Nice.
Which is a delightful thing to say. And I'm going to spend... I think I'll spend... You know what? I'm just going to spend all 3. Why not?
Nice. Oh, I will just
tokens.
Say, for people listening, the difference between power through darkness and unleash the dark is power through darkness is when you're really pushing at your limits, right? Which is a very narrative thing. But yeah, let's see how it goes.
That's a 12.
Yeah, buddy. I just want to point out, because it was a while ago, last week, your last roll was a 13.
We are out here disastrously succeeding in life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on an 11 plus, you are on the edge of disaster, right? So, and you still don't have any bonds to like change your role, do you?
Nope.
Because
I've not made any new bonds.
You're
Well,
just
yeah,
talking
I
about
would
you
need
being
2.
lonely and everything.
So,
Yeah. No. Totally. Yeah. So in this moment, I'm just so enthralled by how it's all syncing up narratively. Okay, so I will describe how you're on the edge of disaster. I think what this looks like is, tell me what it looks like when you first start feeding death, because you've been talking about this unraveling, right? But there's something, what do we see that shows that Nero is pushing themselves, right, in order to like feed upon this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's still, Nero trying to grasp at this specter that is sort of looming around Eliza, this dream, and trying to unravel it. But, it's like untangling something that is also fighting back, only like a fishing analogy kind of, it's pulling back at the line, threatening, I think, to pull Nero into it even. So there's this sort of like big astral tug of war happening kind of in this like dream space that's probably even semi-corporeal within the house, because the house is just so weird. And I think like weird sort of darkness energy kind of crackling all around the area. So there's lots of light and special effects happening.
Yeah, we have a big budget.
Right.
So we got to use it, my love. Yeah. So I think what also happens is there is this like impact as the energy like pushes beyond the two of you. And Finn, you were like actually thrown back, right? And you can see like all across the museum, the glass cases, the marble, everything starts to crack. And we start to see the dreams of the oldest house leak through, right? Everything is like shaking and trembling in response. And the edge of disaster that you find yourself on, Nero, is that the hunger within you like takes on this ravenous edge that you have never felt before. We see flashes of all the harbingers that have been forcefully fed to you from Division. It's like flashes of you being like, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's really harrowing what Division put you through, right? You realize like these are memories that are resurfacing that you didn't have access to before this moment. And as the hunger comes undone and starts feeding on death itself, this dream of death, right? In desperation, it reaches out towards the oldest cat, and like these claws rake across the oldest cat, and we see death infecting this like strange immortal creature, and all these eyes start to open up across the oldest cat, and we see it becoming larger and larger, right? Starting to like reach towards the ceiling as the oldest cat is just completely filled with the same hunger that infects you. So if you aren't careful, my dear Nero, the oldest cat will be fully infected with the same hunger that is like coursing through you. So the other part of this move is choose one, mark a condition to exert better control of your powers, or let the keeper tell you how the situation is not under your control.
I think I will go ahead and mark a condition. I'm going to go mark raging to exert a little better control over the situation.
Nice. So what does that look like as you like give into the rage, right? How does it blunt the edge of your hunger?
Yeah, I think just giving into that sort of very angry, raging moment in the middle of this fight sort of literally kind of pulls Nero away from the hunger momentarily, maybe focusing him just a little bit more to sort of push back against this dream of death again. and hopefully prevent the cat from being infected completely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so as that happens, right, the dream of death is forced back. We see it like rip out of the oldest cat, and then those eyes forcibly close again. The oldest cat starts shrinking down, and it lets out this like really sad cat yowl of like pain and fear, right? Just ripping through the oldest house. But we also see like, Eliza, you're thrown back, right? You can, because of the shock of what's happening between the yowl of the oldest cat and the hunger that is like shifting through and this dream being forcibly removed from you, you are shocked awake, right? You are more in control of your faculties, but also please mark another condition as you're like trying to, Sherry's like, Rae is being so mean to me.
All right. That's it. I'm obsessed. It's the cat that's at the center of this.
Oh, Sherry's like, I'm going to kill that cat.
That's not what I said.
No, I know.
Every time someone marks a condition, I'm like, okay, I keep forgetting how scary the conditions are of the shade. I did that on purpose,
Yep.
but anyway.
Mhm.
Okay, so, but you see, right, like the hunger from within, like Nero is like starting to consume the dream. Like Nero's just barely in control of the situation. But Eliza, what do you do? Right, you see the oldest cat like shivering behind Nero.
I think I turn to Finn and I say, can you dream things into existence? I mean, you have some ability, don't you?
It's not exactly dreaming, but what did you have in mind?
I need a suitcase. I need a flask of poison. And I need some radioactive material.
My God, Eliza's bossing around Finn.
I know. I'm so excited about it. Man, I'm. You know what? I'm gonna mark. No, that's fine. Man, I'm trying to think. I'm just going to say, you've always had them with you, and I'm going to use maybe the lies that serve me. You, in case have you learned that pain and secrets are a key aspect of survival? You may attempt to tap into your talent, latent divinity, to cloak reality with your lies for a time. This is a little bit outside of this, so maybe this is more Unleash the Darkness. We can talk about what it is, but essentially, like, I want to manifest this into reality by lying and convincing Eliza that she has essentially always had these things with her. I think I'm actually taking things she already has and turning them into these items. So maybe that is more the lie that we are telling in this. But I could also just go with Unleash the Darkness also too.
Oh, but I love this lying.
Okay.
It's absolutely perfect. Yeah. Totally.
So I think the question, like, you know, I love what does the service weapon look like for you right now?
Apparently it looks like a pistol. I mean, we know that when I actually go to use it, it'll become a scythe, but that's...
Well, that's the great question. Let's go ahead and I'm going to spend 3 darkness token.
You're going to change the service weapon into these things?
I might.
Beautiful.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my God, it's so smart. I love seeing, every time I watch Tony in stream, I just love seeing him.
9, perfect hit.
Oh, so good.
Yes.
In case the lie, in what remains of my divinity, choose one. The lie will last for as long as I wish it will. The lie will hold up against any scrutiny. The lie will not give birth to new lies beyond your control. I think, because I want this to be fully true, I think we're going to go with the lie will hold up against any type of scrutiny. So I think we see the service weapon, like, that has been, you know, heavy at your side, all of a sudden shift from being a pistol, like the grip, you feel the grip shift in your hand, and as you reach down, there is a suitcase that has these items You can feel from the weight sitting inside of it that is down below you. And I just tell you, I don't know how long it will last, but you've always had them with you.
Yep.
Ooh.
And as soon as you say that, it like has a little Geiger counter that's actually like taped to the outside of the case as well, awaiting the signal. And she sort of turns to the cat that has, of course, thrown itself away from the whole death eating thing and says, "I'm sorry, dear, but you could be neither alive nor dead exactly in this thing. And I'm going to pick him up and put him in the suitcase and turn him into Schrodinger's cat. He's neither alive nor dead. We will not reset." Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You see the cat going like, excuse me, in the way that only a cat can be truly indignant. And there's just like the oldest cat is trying to look around, and there's a moment where they look at the oldest witch, right, for help, and the oldest witch nods and just takes the hind legs of the oldest cat to help you.
I'm like, "Thank you, dear." They're always like this, aren't they?
And the oldest cat is like, betrayal most foul, right? As you like push the cat into the suitcase, right? And you see the Geiger counter starting to like tick.
No, it mustn't. It mustn't.
Oh, okay. And then so like it thankfully stays silent, right?
Exactly.
As you put it in, right?
Until the radiation escapes, which it may never happen. Or quantum physics, it may happen, but you don't know.
Right. And there's a moment when like the cat is truly struggling in the suitcase, and then nothing. This horrible, harrowing silence and non-movement, as we do not know what happens to the oldest cat within the suitcase. But because I cannot resist, and Finn did not choose the option of the lie will not give birth to new lies beyond
100% I did not, because I did not want to.
Eliza, what is it that you want more than anything? What object does your subconscious want to appear here in the museum with you?
All within this struggle, right? So such a good question.
Yeah. Do you want
I think she turns around and there's her filing cabinet. If that makes any sense.
Oh, that's so cute.
And she sort of turns around. She's like, "Oh, thank you." And she will open that up, and she'll actually pull out, like she'll go through and find a case file that says Nero on it.
Ooh.
Pull it out.
Yeah, interesting. So as you do that, Finn, you look around and you realize several of these exhibits are starting to turn into file cabinets, into overhead projectors, into stuff you can find in the library near the Forbidden Archives. And you realize that the lie is starting to shift out and move at this rapid pace as the dream of the archives of the division are starting to consume the museum here, and they're merging in like horrible ways. It's okay for now. You're sure you've got this, Finn. It's not a problem at all, but just something to keep an eye on. So as you pull out the file from Nero, at first it looks like, Eliza, like the text in a dream, right? Like gibberish and slightly moving and difficult to read. You see the letters like reform and obey you, right? One of these basic skills you have at your disposal as an archivist, of course, of division. What information are you looking for?
I'm going to grasp for the key.
Okay, so we'll do that in a bit. I will cut back to you, but I'd like to cut back to Nero in this moment, right? So you are in the middle of consuming the dream of death, right? And you can feel the hunger is like going wild within you. You feel yourself starting to like split, right? And there's this new mouth that forms along your neck that opens up wide and says, "Isn't it time to let me go?" And you realize it's all the other Neros you've been consuming up to this point. They're all trying to break through the skin, sensing this moments of weakness that you have. What do you do?
It's not great. I mean,
It's
of course
almost
I'm
like
not going to let them
facing
out.
the consequences of your actions.
What? No, that's not a thing. This is just something that's happening for no particular reason.
No reason whatsoever.
Right.
Mhm.
But no, why would I let these inferior versions of myself out? Like, they got eaten. They don't deserve it. Which also I think is quite a petty reaction. So I'm going to pick up some darkness tokens.
I was gonna say.
But what am I going to do? I think so. They are working to get out, which is the opposite of, I would say, the force of hunger. So in order to keep them inside, I think I am going to surrender to the hunger within me, and sort of make sure that they are consumed, right? Instead of, kind of like, right now it's like when a popcorn kernel gets stuck in your teeth, right?
Correct.
Exactly the same.
Oh,
You
you
know,
can
when
use-
alternate versions of yourself are just trying to escape your corporeal form. It's just like when popcorn. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. I am so good at body horror, but for some reason this really gets to me. I don't know why. This is so funny. Okay. Yeah, so let's see. This is the gnawing edge of hunger, right? We are surrendering to the hunger. How is your body transforming as you feed on these remnants of you yet again?
I mean, I think, you described this mouth opening up in Nero's neck and like speaking to get out. I almost think that there are more mouths sort of gnashing at this other mouth. I'm just kind of leave it at that and let people's imaginations sort of fill in the blanks as horrific or as abstract as they choose.
I think poor Sherri's going horrific. So
Sorry,
we can
Sherri.
go abstract. We can go abstract, Sherri. You can
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and I picked up 2 tokens for being petty. I'm gonna use both of them because statistically I think I should. But that's been working great for me in the past couple of rolls. So hey, that's a 9.
Nice.
Perfect hit.
Oh my god, I was so worried. I was like, the moment someone brings
I
up
was so ready
statistics,
for
I
it
get
to
very
go wrong.
nervous. I know. Oh my gosh. I was like, don't say anything right. Okay, perfect hit. Okay, that's what we want to see. So I didn't realize I was holding my breath. Okay, so on a 9, you blunt the worst edges of your hunger and feed only as much as you need. Choose one. Which one would you like to choose?
So I can describe how my form becomes more human, clear condition. How I wish to feed, or who I wish I could feed on instead and gain a bond with them. Give into for the feeding, describe how you feel, and create or replace the hunger condition to reflect this. I could use some bonds, I think. Although I am running, I only have 1 more condition left.
That's okay. You have like until only the hunger remains. It's an entire move that helps with this. It's fine.
I mean, that is true.
Yeah. Besides, if you hit your breaking point, my love, it's not so bad. You'll just, create more of it.
So yeah, I think I'm going to gain a bond with Finn or Eliza. I think because of the whole dream of death thing, I'm going to pick Eliza. I think recognizing the threat that you are, which to like Nero, that's exciting, and that there's more of a respect now. You're not just weird Eliza who works in the library. You are dangerous, avatar of death, right? And that's exciting.
Ooh, yeah. You realize like for her to be able to like carry the mantle of death that you were struggling to consume really speaks to the strength of her shattered soul, such as it is. Yeah. What's a little more heartbreak, Eliza? You've been through worse, right? You're made of strong stuff. Okay, perfect. So go ahead and take that bond. But also it is, as you describe, right? You're able to like hold it back. There's this like horrible sound as the other Neros are consumed yet again. And you can feel somewhere in the distance, there's a universal law that's just shattering under the teeth of your hunger. But it just makes it even more delicious right now. It's like dessert, right?
It's
Hubris.
indulgent.
Yeah.
It's like
Beautiful feast.
right? It's like a really lush piece of like chocolate mousse or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's so bad for you, but ooh, oh, so good.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%.
Compliments
100%.
to the chef.
I'm dying. Okay. Excellent. All right. So is it Apocalypse Keys if we're not at least shaking our heads at one of the monsters, right? Like just going like, you're so horrible. Okay. So with that, right, you can see that the other Neros are calming down. You have almost fully consumed the stream of death. My dear Eliza, you were grasping a key in order to learn more from Nero's file, or what else can come up. So
Exactly. So I think I would like to use 2 tokens. So I will. Ugh, it always makes me want to. Okay, and then I'm gonna roll. So I got an 8.
Going hot.
Yeah. Okay, you uncover a key. So I'm going to refer to my lovely list of keys. Okay. To see what you find. Ooh. Okay. Wow, there's like a key that almost exactly matches what you're looking at. So that is so weird. I'm just like weirded out about how it. Okay, so it is a dossier containing files of several members of the division, revealing dark secrets. In particular, right? You realize that every single version of the 3 of you from previous loops has been meticulously documented in these files. Like very quickly, you can sense that the information is reaching out to you in a way that you can barely hold on to it. You can only see flashes of it in your mind, even though you're reading the words, but you see the totality of the 12 loops before this one, right? We see glimpses of the failure when the oldest witch died in front of you. We see that time when you were like making it to the oldest cat with the dagger and Nero wasn't able to feed on the death stream over and over again. But you see very clearly that there is a single Eliza that has somehow survived all these loops, that has not been corrupted by the oldest house, that has not been corrupted by the dream. And this Eliza is very, very much alive. There's flesh and blood and bone on this one, right? And the thing is, the moment that you perceive this Eliza and this vision that you're receiving from the dossier, she recognizes that she's being watched and she turns to look at you before the vision disappears.
Ask a question. Is she more alive than I am?
Oh, yeah. She is not held between death. She is not ghostly in any way whatsoever. You can see, in fact, like as you try to hold on to the vision, her other hand is holding on to Vincent's hand, and Vincent is also alive. Sherri's face is like, is it me? Am I the harbinger? Is it me?
Maybe I will be the harbinger.
Okay, I mean, we'll see what this vision means, right? But this is the key that you mainly got is that there is someone that is like documenting, right, each version of you, almost like one of the, if not the most important thing here that's happening is that the three of you being duplicated like this by the house is important to someone or something.
So they're studying us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The previous versions of you are being studied is what I'm going to write down. But I'm also going to put here on the notes above, just because it feels pretty important. One Eliza made of flesh and blood.
She did
It's
something
so-
right.
So weird out of context just writing that down. But anyway, it feels important to have there. So we'll put it there. Okay, so that is the key that you have, right? So the oldest cat is Schrodinging in the suitcase. The dream of death has been fully consumed. The museum is still worst for wear, right? Like there's still cracks and dream and death leaking over things. Finn,
It's
you
organized, Dewey Decimal from start to finish.
which Finn, you know, is a problem, right? You can see the museum is
It
like
happens.
organizing.
It's a reason why I stopped doing this at one point in time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, okay. So we see the oldest witch like pick up the suitcase, right? Very calmly. The suitcase really is not making any sound whatsoever, not a single amount of movement.
We're not supposed to know.
Not supposed to know. Yeah, what do we do?
Eliza, do you share this information at all, or is this something you keep close to your chest?
Well, yeah, she holds out some papers that don't say anything, and she goes, look, they've been observing each of the loops. They have meticulous notes. This is all about observing, well, at least the three of us. Perhaps there were some other agents, but mostly I see our records.
I want to pull like a weird classic old school D&D move. I want to say a name backwards. So I have a sibling's name who is that is the sound of a door being slammed in your face. I want to unleash the darkness. I want to say their name backwards, and I want to open up a door to whoever is observing us.
Ooh. Amazing. Okay, so you're unleashing the dark, and technically the target is whoever is observing you, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can go with that. That feels very good. Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at a couple different things as I'm trying to figure out how a couple different things may build into this now that I've taken a bunch of ruin and normal moves that build on top of each other.
Oh, yeah. Take your time to look at the combos, no worries.
How would you say I'm unleashing this dark?
Ooh, do you feel like you're telling lies in some way?
I do feel like I'm telling a lie. Like I do feel like this is about trying to draw a connection to these individuals that will then. So like I'm trying to manipulate physical reality, but I am doing it by lying to the house, basically.
Yeah, I like. Ooh. Do you also want to combo it with Tremble Before Me?
I do want to combo with
Let's
Tremble
do it.
Before
Let's
Me.
do it. Let's do it.
So everybody at home can follow along. I am unleashing the dark. I am lying to the house, so it would be social at that point in time. So normally I would have to roll, but Tremble Before Me says that my words once swayed gods and broke down the gates of heaven. You speak your true and ancient voice. All living mortals are driven to despair. Whenever I unleash the dark to enforce my will socially or emotionally, you may choose to mark one ruin, which I will do, and treat your move as if you had rolled an 8 to 10 and choose 4 options instead of 2.
Perfect.
And additionally, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use Honey Tongued and Clouded Mind also too, since it's social. You have survived in this wretched state because of your ability to lie and charm. When you unleash the dark through lies, you can also choose from one of the below, even on a miss. So I will choose 4 of the basic options and choose one of these 5, one of these 4
Yeah.
additional options. So, on an 8 to 10 for I Unleash the Dark, my first choice is I get what I want from them. The house does open a door between us and whoever is observing us. I am going to avoid reprisals, harms, or cost. We are going to gain the upper hand for now. Expose a weakness or flaw. So those are our 4. So it's just a real clean door we're going to open. And then from Unleash the Dark through lies, a part of my life becomes choose I am going to choose they are tempted to worship me.
I was hoping you would choose that one. Yes. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So you speak your sibling's name backwards. What does it look like when this door forms in the museum?
The door, I think, looks like it looks like the door from the episode of I Love Lucy where the weird, creepy con man vacuum salesman shows up and tries to tell her door. It is in black and white. It is the I Love Lucy apartment number. Don't at me, Twitter. I don't know what it is. It like the door is backwards, like for one thing, like and it is like struggling for a second before it calms down, and then just like slams itself like wide open, and we can see kind of an empty white void on the other side.
Oh, I love that so much. Right. And so as soon as the door slams open, there is this chorus of distorted voices. Some of the voices are whispering, some of them are screaming, but they're all flattened into this horrifying tone that reaches through time and space and echoes endlessly. And you hear the chorus say, "You would seek an audience with us, broken down God, as tempting, as beautiful as you are, you know not what you ask for." And the corridor reaches out, right? And at the very end of it, in this white void, we see this black pyramid hanging upside down, descending. Behold the vision of Oracle. Behold the vision of the end of all things. Come into our presence, little God. We will make you greater. And I think we'll take a break here and see what happens next.
That sounds great. We are in the middle of our actual play of Apocalypse Keys Part 4, and actually we're not in the middle of it. We're getting towards the end of it. We're going to come back and find out whether we end the world or the world ends us or something in between in just one moment. We are live again here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel, back in the oldest house, saying really great things like I eat the dream of death. I lie to the house by saying my sibling's name backward to make a door. Or I put the oldest cat in the suitcase to make it Schrodinger's cat. All great things to say anytime you're playing a game. But you get to say all of those things and more when you're playing Apocalypse Keys. It's just live right now over on Kickstarter. You go to TTRPG.link/KeyKS to check it out now or later. But I'm going to hand things back over to Rae to take us back into where people felt like they were menacingly threatening us for a second. Or if you want to know, I can just respond. Finn just says, we're ready for you. I'll make a roll if you want me to, but really all I want here is for us to change into tremendously fancy clothes. Like that has the effect of just a total wardrobe change for each of our characters. Everybody can describe what they're wearing if that's all right with you, but I'll make a roll for it if not.
No, because
we got to use the budget or we're going to lose it. They're not going to give it to us for season 2 if we don't spend it all in season 1.
Oh my gosh, it's like Sandman where suddenly we cut and they're all wearing different clothes. Yeah. No, because you definitely have the upper hand. So the least you have right now are different clothes. So I think I want to say Finn for last. Like we just hear Finn's voice saying that, right? Or there's a close-up of Finn's face, but I want to see what everyone else is wearing. Starting with our dread archivist, you were wearing a Victorian suit, right? The smoke was coming off of the electroplasmic vapors. But what do you look like right now?
Oh, so essentially what it is the shape of her form and of the sort of cloak around her has always been Victorian, but I think that when it goes full reality, you can see that in fact it's more like a kind of almost steampunk thing. There's sort of it's the black, but there's black wiring that's all the way through everything, and it's like a brocade, so like all of the embroidery is actually wire, and you can actually see that there's like a circuit of life and death kind of running through it, and it's a liminal state that's right around her, and it's just sort of that cloak around her, and you can see her face and everything, but she looks alive now, and she looks like a much younger version of herself, like than when she died, like maybe like when she's 16 or 18. She has no sense of this, but she does have like these goggles, and the thing is that it's almost like she looks like someone else wants her to look. Does that make any sense?
I like that a lot. Very cool. And how about for Nero? What costume change do you see?
So I think to fancy it up a bit, Nero is in an impeccably tailored suit right now. So very, very kind of slim, very well fitted. But no boring grays, black, blue here. The fabric is sort of that, not quite a print, but is sort of a hyper realistic, kind of sheening, opalescent, like nebula-ish, like dream stuff that like moves a little bit. It's like in the sci-fi Count of Monte Cristo anime adaptation.
Oh my gosh,
all of the patterns
Yeah.
are like static, but the characters move, but then the pattern stays there. That's what this suit is like. So you see Nero move, but like the perspective of the print or whatever, it doesn't change. So yeah.
Gorgeous. Absolutely love it. Yeah. And how about for Finn? What do you see?
I think for Finn, it's something like as it zooms out, like he's been in a suit this entire time. We actually see like the something that looks like ancient robes that he's now wearing. Like they're heavy, like crushed purplish velvet. Maybe to match some of the dream tones, we get the same kind of non-moving sense that we get from Nero, but it's a much more subdued, like deep purple tone to it, and so it's a little bit harder to pick up on initially that the same thing is happening, but it's these kind of heavy, ancient, formal robes.
Oh, very, very cool. Right. So we see the three of you, and the oldest witch, when they step through the door into their full power now, right? So previously they had the matted hair, those faces that would once in a while peer through those locks, and these bedraggled clothes. Instead, the oldest witch is at the height of their power for a blistering moment, right before it starts to fade, and we see their hair long and slick back, reaching towards the floor. We see, instead of the faces peering through the hair, instead there is this large cloud-like situation where the faces shift and move back and forth. And we realize that what the oldest witch is holding in their head are all the dreamers dreaming right now in all the world, in all the universes, in every reality. Anyone who closes their eyes for a moment to dream, they spend their time with the oldest witch, and they are meant to be the caretaker of dreams, because true magic comes from that space, as the three of you understand it, especially, right? But that starts to flicker and fade. We see the oldest witch like stumble, right? And reach out towards Eliza, like taking your shoulder, before the oldest witch shakes himself free. And so Oracle before you, and I would like to remind everyone that
What does Oracle stand for?
What Oracle stands for is Occult Reserve, Agency for Control, Lockdown, and Extraction. And that comes to mind when you see like behind this huge black pyramid, we see all of Division's agents and personnel, right? Each of them in their own cell, right? Invisible in this transparent boxes behind this black pyramid, right? And hanging from beneath the point of this upside down pyramid, pirouetting in the air slowly, a broken arm holding a dangling weapon, a service weapon. We see Vincent wreathed in fire, dreaming, slowly dreaming, just twisting and turning in the air. And so, but I will say, you do have the upper hand, right? They are tempted to worship you. I'm looking at the other options.
I said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, avoid reprisal costs, get what you want from them, and expose a weakness or flaw. I remember that. Okay, so you realize that even though all of these division agents and personnel are trapped here, right? Oracle is unable to like fully access them. There is something that Oracle is waiting to do that it cannot at this point, right? And you can see all the way on the other side, you can sense that the door is there and the director's office. There is something that is blocking Oracle from opening the door, right? You feel like perhaps you're just on the edge of it, which is why I'm going to tick the doomsday clock, my loves. Right. So I'm going to say what happens is, and Finn, I want to stress that you're still in like a position of power here. You can observe what's happening, right, before anything gets too crazy. So you can sense that in this oldest house where the oldest witch and the oldest cat resides, there are also the oldest fears. They have broken past decaying seals and they're gathering towards the black pyramid. They warp reality into dagger sharp focus. And you can understand that the infiltrators are taking advantage of the chaos. And these oldest fears are all wearing the skin and the power of your siblings.
Let me ask the table a question. Do we feel like we're ready to grasp at a key before we fully enter into this space, or do we want to do it after we have entered into this space and play a little bit more?
I think it's a good opportunity. How many keys do we actually have?
I think 8 now.
Yeah. So that would give us a...
Sherri, I think you may be muted.
I'm just agreeing, so I'm redundant anyway. Don't worry.
No, you're great. I mean, I'm looking for consensus, so agreement's always a great thing.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so currently you're at a +2 if you're to roll, but if you pick up another key, that would give you a +3. So
that's let's do that. We're looking through the door. We are in a position of power, as we're taking all this in, I'll go ahead and grasp for a key. We'll see if we can get one more before we execute.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. That's not the right thing that I want to look at.
And you're just observing, like seeing what comes up, or do you have a specific question that you're trying to answer as you grasp keys?
This is about like, so we're taking this and we see all of the, like, yes, taking all of that in. I don't know that I have a specific question so much as taking in the oldest fears, presence, the infiltrators wearing the skins of my siblings, all the division agents wearing things, like all of the stuff you just described. I think this is more Finn extrapolating information from what is being presented than it is a specific question that I, as the player, have right at this moment.
Excellent.
So when we search for a clue, investigate for signs of the apocalypse, or use your powers of darkness to gather information, describe how you are doing so, spend darkness tokens, and roll. Let's spend 2, so I got 1 in the tank. We are going to then roll. It's a 12, baby. You uncover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout. The keeper will tell you what it is. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, perfect. I do want to point out, just so that you can use this information for you later, Finn, is that Vincent is there, and no matter what Oracle has done to Vincent, Vincent is still your worshiper.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So let's see. As you examine and observe what's happening, and you see all of the connections and strands and dreams, like bringing everything together, as you look towards all of this and you're trying to make sense of it. Ooh. That's when you see hovering in midair, like swaying gently in this breeze that does not exist, like underneath the pyramid. There are all these like ghosts, and they all look like Eliza, but they're not from the previous loops.
Okay.
And you can see like the Oracle is like feeding off of the necrotic energy that is coming off of these ghosts. Every time I mention Eliza, I see Sherri's face going like, I'm the Harbinger, aren't I? Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just
But if you want to be,
Schrodinger's Harbinger, right?
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Still in the box.
It's all 3 of us.
Trying to drag everybody into the dark with you. I understand. Let's see. Let me just write down Eliza's, not from previous loops. The Black Pyramid. Feeding off of them. They're necrotic. I'm going to write that down. Energy. Okay. So when that happens, Finn, you understand in this moment, because it happened to you, right? When the god died and each tear became you and your siblings. When Eliza died, her soul shattered into several distinct pieces. It is the same but different from what happened to you.
Okay.
And you can see like each of these shards like mirroring perfectly, right? All these different possibilities and realities. And as that realization dawns on you, you can see each of them like reaching out towards that Vincent, and this chorus reaches this crescendo, right? And I'm gonna say like this would be very cool if we wanted to like come up with a theory while you're fighting off the oldest fears, that would be like mwah, impeccable anime moment for me. But what does everybody want to do?
I am all for fighting fears and solving mysteries at the same time.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't.
We can multitask, right? If we're feeling up to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I don't want to force people into unlocking Doomsdoor if we're not ready. Is there something else we want to do beforehand?
I'm go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was pretty sure we were gonna attempt it like kind of after we did that last key. So I'm good. Yeah, well,
yeah, I want to. No, I love the idea. I'm gonna instigate this move so that we can then have time narratively while the battle starts to make that move. I'm gonna use Call Me Master, which I have not used. It's just my playbook's core move. No one can resist the call of your dark heart, not for long. Anyways, when you declare how you mesmerize onlooking NPCs with your faded power, spend darkness tokens and roll. I only have one token, so that's what we're gonna spend.
You don't feel like Oracle is beneath you, like in this moment?
I guess it's true. I am about to treat them all like they are beneath me. So
oh yeah, you know.
God, maybe I actually right now I'm a little obsessed and I'm lustful.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe I'm going to
That's
embody
right.
this condition also too, and maybe I'm going to be totally kind of wanton with this power. So this is players can decide how this power influences them. Like it's like as another player, I have zero desire to put that on you. But I don't think I'm being focused enough when I say I stride in like confidently, and I tell all of the members of Oracle, all of Division, everybody. I don't expect the fears to respond, like the ones who are masquerading as my siblings, to bow before me. And I just let the power of my in sound and light of my voice ripple off as we see, like we've described it a couple times when I use a lot of my power, my human form kind of falls away. I think the robes themselves enter into this kind of luminous purple swirl, and I stop being totally human for a second and just emit the light and sound as I tell them to bow before me. Hopefully it's impressive, because shit, that's a lot of description before I roll. 6. I'm gonna go ahead and burn my bond with Sunny, my oldest sibling.
Oh, beautiful.
Since he's now masqueraded by fear. And I think one with Josh's character, I think there is almost the sense of this is me showing off Dream's initial power, and it is almost like an affront to the hungry form of Dream that Josh's character is. This is essentially highlighting the difference between one of the tiers and Josh's character.
Oh, nice.
And so which will push it up to an 8, which is a hit, a perfect hit. I've claimed new worshiper. Choose 2. They fulfill a single command exactly as you wish. They will grant you new powers and polarity. They will create a place of worship and power in my name. Man, that last one's super tempting right now. As long as the bow before me is not the single command, because what I really want to do is get them to go fight the fears.
Yeah.
Then yeah. So they fulfill a single command exactly as I wish. Oh man, I am gonna go with they create a place of worship and power in my name. We can come back to that later, depending on how harbingery I get. I don't need an immediate response to that one, but those will be the 2 we pick. Yeah. So I walk in and I tell all of Oracle to worship me and then go fight the fears.
Oh, perfect. Right. So what that looks like is as the oldest fears descend and move towards you, the infiltrators break off from the Black Pyramid. It's goop and ichor that drips and holds underneath the Black Pyramid for a moment, fighting against gravity before it forms into these and you recognize they kind of look like the needle and thread, right? Like these wretched, creatures barely held together, because up to this point, the infiltrators had always been in shadows, right? So this is your first clear look at them. And all of them say in one voice, "Yes, master," before they move towards the oldest spheres and start to tear them apart. It is really weird watching these things that look like distorted versions of your siblings, distorted versions of you, essentially being torn apart by these things. But it is as you want. I already have an initial idea for this place of worship.
Sure.
Right. And so what starts to happen is you realize some of the infiltrators are taking these scraps, these dreams, these remnants of the oldest spheres, and they are starting to build this huge, you think it's an effigy for a moment, but you realize they're trying to rebuild the god that you once were.
Fun times.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good idea. Absolutely wonderful idea. But that's just the start of it. We'll see how that shakes out. We don't need to resolve everything in a move, which is great about PBTA. So when that happens, it's giving you enough time. You can see Oracle, the pyramid stops rotating for a moment and it starts to shift backwards as it starts to calculate and recalculate what to do. Eliza, the suitcase, starts moving. So I think it's time to try to unlock Doom's Door. So for people listening, when we unlock Doom's Door, that is when the mystery comes together and our players describe the truth to me. We do this by connecting each key to a facet. Normally you can have more than one try, but I have been a little cruel in this play series. We only have one tick left on the Doomsday Clock because on a miss, my lovelies, we tick the Doomsday Clock. And so there are no more chances to try to unlock Doom's Door. Essentially, this is our one chance to do so. Perhaps when you play with a keeper who is less dramatic than I, you will have more than one chance, which is quite likely. But let me read out the move proper. I always get super excited when we unlock Doom's Door. So when you are ready to declare what the door is and how to unlock it, say what you believe it to be. Connect the keys to the facets of the mystery, revealing the harbinger. Roll and add the number of connected keys minus the mystery's complexity. Right now we are at 9 keys. Is that correct? Right. So we are at a 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 3. Right. The roll is not affected by darkness tokens, bonds, or any other move. All you have right now is the truth. Right. So let's connect each key to a facet. I usually like to do it by having everyone take a turn to connect the key. So just to remind everyone, our facets are stolen secrets, time restarting, the harbinger, the door of power, and the oldest house's investigation on the nature of humanity. How you want to interpret any of these facets can change with each key, right? So for example, if you want to declare the identity of the harbinger, you could do that when you connect a key. If you want to declare the motivation of a harbinger in relation to a key, you could do that. So however you want to interpret these.
So move like grass for keys and theorize. I've seen them used a lot of different ways. So for you as a designer and a GM, are you one who expects a lot of probing for kind of a cohesive thought around how this actually works, or just kind of getting the elements into place? Are we looking for agreement at the table across the board on how these fit in? What are some of your kind of advice for her as people approach this move, how it's intended to be approached within that kind of sector?
Yeah, so basically the facets do a lot of heavy lifting there, because I can find, for me personally, with Apocalypse Keys, before the facets came into being, it was very easy for one person or to sort of steamroll the conversation without meaning to, right? It just happened. And so by connecting the keys to the facets, it sort of gives everyone this subconscious idea of okay, we should take turns connecting each key instead of me trying to grasp all of them and explain all of them in one go. So I feel what I usually recommend is we each take a turn usually by interpreting the key against a facet, the theory becomes very cohesive in a way that's really natural. But we'll see. If not, I'm here to ask questions. We are here to ask questions of each other. What I like to do personally is to have a very meta conversation as players, right? And then we decide what that looks like narratively, right? Because it could be all of us players are agreeing on the theory, but it's just Eliza who steps forward and does, I have gathered you here all to explain like what happened moments if we want to, right? So, but
Excellent.
How does that sound to everybody?
That sounds great. I just wanted, that's why, that's exactly what I was asking. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Also, chat, if you have theories as we're going along, feel free to toss them out. I'm happy to be your voice in the conversation.
Yeah. All right. So how about we start with Eliza? Which key would you like to pick up and to connect to which facet?
I think the one thing is just going that dossier containing files of several members of divisions revealing the dark secrets. Let's just go ahead and put that with the oldest house's investigation of the nature of humanity. So I would tie that together. So essentially the idea is that whatever is happening is a trial run to try to discern something about humanity from three people who are fairly divorced from it. So there's something to that, and we have to figure out what it's attempting to distill.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to. My mouse is not playing nicely with me. I'm just trying to connect those things. I'm gonna just freehand it. Please ignore. Because my mouse won't like hold on to it correctly. So I'm connecting it to the human. Yeah. Okay. We have connected it. So even though they're investigating the nature of humanity, they're doing so by studying our three monsters, right? And how they're affected by the time loop.
I would think that they're trying to discern some part of humanity in us.
Okay, got it. We can definitely do more as we start to get in more keys. Perfect. How about Nero? Josh, basically. Which key would you like to connect? I think Nero's too busy looking very, very good right now.
Lots of glamour shots.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to connect number 3. So that's the phone booth where we got the information about Oracle for the first time to time restarting. I think maybe in this attempted takeover or replacement, whatever the origin of Oracle is, like somehow like the time restarting and loops are a tool that they are using, perhaps.
Okay. I like it. So like this is something that Oracle is doing on purpose, right? Like the loops are from their end.
Yeah, if not on purpose, they're certainly taking advantage of it and maybe figuring out how to control it. Like I feel like maybe it's almost like with every loop, Oracle is able to take sort of another piece away from division, right? So they are, if they are not the ones causing it, they are certainly using it to their advantage and would like it to continue.
Excellent. Do you have an idea who the obsidian skeleton belonged to then?
I potentially two ways. One, slightly more mundane for an obsidian skeleton to have a phone booth, because it kind of was packaged with this whole warning in a way that we got. So I could see it either being some just bizarre manifestation of the house itself trying to put a form to deliver a message in as corporeal a way and direct a way as maybe can, but it's a weird concept that existed for the universe. So like fleshy forms and obsidian skeleton's cool, right? That's what the kids have these days. Let's just set that in a phone booth. They use telephones to talk. Normal. Or I could see it being somebody from division, like maybe another monster or something that is somehow able to reach out and deliver it, but because of just how fragmented memory and time and space is here, like we don't remember, like, yeah, that's, that's Gary from Division, Obsidian Skeleton Gary. We all know him. How could we forget him? Of course he's delivering us this morning. He's our buddy trying to reach out. And Nero was so rude to him.
Cut to it's Gary during the sketches on the fridge. Okay.
Exactly. Two very different directions we could go with this, but that's what popped in my head.
What I love is I realized I was asking, like, what is the flesh that was on top of the skeleton? And Josh was like, no, it's always been a skeleton. Skeletons don't need flesh.
Bones are cool, baby.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Bones are perfectly reasonable. It's a very good gender. Okay. And so, Tony, which key would you like to pick to connect to each facet?
I'm going to throw this out there, but let's just make sure that Sherri feels good about it for Eliza. I want to look at number 6. Microcassette recorder. Eliza recognizes their own voice. Please listen to me. I don't have much more before the reset. I think I actually want to connect this to Soul and Secrets. I like the idea that at least someone has put a fragment of Eliza here, or multiple fragments of Eliza here, to do the job of categorizing all these stolen secrets. Sherri, how do we feel about that?
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
And certainly if I had the time, I would be organizing these.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, and we already established early on that Eliza loves to categorize, and that was her main role in the archives.
I mean, you don't get to be a dread archivist if you don't like to catalog. You'd be a dread something else, but
yeah, but not archivist.
Yeah, you need to archive, categorize. Gosh, I feel like
preserve and store.
For some reason, I'm in like this drag ballroom and I can hear like someone categorize like 10s across the board for some bizarre reason. Okay, so
I like it.
I've had a very long week. I'm very tired. Okay, and so we loop back to Sherri. What key would you like to connect to which facet?
I'm going to take number 2 and tie it to the Harbinger.
Ooh.
I think the underground facility of Division experimented on monsters where they were fed Harbingers in order to gain power, not just Nero. But I think some number of them, and that is definitely from whence cometh our Harbinger.
Ooh, so we get a shot, right? Like it moves towards like there is Nero being like connected and force fed, but it like shifts and there's another monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like this very much, right? Okay, very cool. Okay. All right, so that is our Harbinger, the identity of the Harbinger, basically. Josh, which key would you like to pick?
I think I want to connect the service weapon to the door of power.
Ooh, I love it.
I think that the service weapon is not only this sort of like artifact from across a legend, right? But I think that it itself either is or is at least part of like the key to the house. So like we have the oldest house, so there must be an oldest key, right? To open the door to the oldest house. And I think the door to power could quite literally be like, the door to the heart of the house, control of the house. It is this strange confluence across space and time and dimension. So if you had the key to that, or a piece of the key, or the method to get the key, whatever the service weapon may be, that is very valuable.
So good. Okay. The oldest house has the oldest key. It has never occurred to me, but it feels like it is true. Okay, very cool. Yeah, and Tony, which one would you like to? We still have
the fun thing about doing it this way is now I'm like, which one of these do I really want to talk about? Like, it's a very different type of structural like consideration when we're going through one by one. I like it a lot. Because there's a lot of good ones. I'm gonna go with one of the tiers was being fed a painting in a strange ritual. I decide if I want to do that to the Harbinger or the door.
Ooh. Yeah. Like, does it speak to who the Harbinger is or what they want, or is it about the door and what it is?
I think we're gonna go double down on connecting it to the Harbinger, because I think we're gonna lean into the feeding motifs with that.
Ooh, are you saying that like this ritual is related to that other monster that was in the underground facility, or is the ritual similar to the feeding?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there is some kind of connection. I think there is the reality of like saying, whatever this Harbinger was, we know it was fed below ground with Nero, like in a similar way. And we know now it's trying to feed other things in a similar way. So this is almost more like a replicative behavior of, as it was fed, so it is now feeding other things.
Oh, it is so sad that the needle and thread who was fed to Nero was trying to replicate the ritual, right? Was trying, I shouldn't feel bad for that guy, but I feel so bad. Okay, very good. So we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 3 more, so one more round. Sherri, which key would you like to connect to which facet?
I think I'm going to take in every loop, the oldest cat never survives. And I am going to tie that to so what it is that whatever loop we're in, it's a loop of dream and death. It is literally a story that after they've run through all of the other division people, it comes down to the 3 of us in our interactions and our story and our relationships to each other and to what is important to each other. And this is what's getting replayed over and over again. And I think it's that the cat being tied to the thing that it never survives is that it has to be tied to well, let's see here.
Sorry, I assumed too quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is time restarting, but that's, okay. We know that. But I think the reason why is it's because it's the one thing that can stop the Harbinger. It knows it intimately.
Oh, interesting.
So like the oldest cat knows the Harbinger. Okay. I like it.
Like it's a dream of the cat. So when you kill it, it has to remanifest itself.
Ooh, okay. I like that. All right. So we know that the oldest cat knows who the Harbinger is, that is intimate with them. Okay. All right. So very good. Josh, which key would you like to pick next?
So we've got painting of an abandoned bunker full of shadows. Figures move closer and closer, but one of the Nero steps in and consumes the shadows. Or a ghostly group of Elizas not from previous loops, Black Pyramid feeding off their necrotic energy.
Oof. Sherri's face.
It hurts.
They're the victim here.
I think I'm gonna pick the painting of an abandoned bunker, and I want to connect it to, I think maybe stolen secrets. Something about like the bunker feels relevant to, we've had these glimpses of former division sections and rooms and things, and I think the bunker is like aligned with that. So maybe someone, or perhaps these shadows were sent to the bunker, or maybe they were protecting the bunker. Either way, there's something still there. It's not quite as abandoned. So I think it's sort of a flip of the coin as to whether the shadows are sort of antagonistic here and then Nero is consuming them to stop them, or Nero is antagonistic here and got past the shadows.
Ooh, so do we want to say, like, to connect it to things so far, are those shadows related to the harbingers or the monsters being fed, right? Like these rituals,
so, yeah.
right? Ooh. Wow, it's almost like this harbinger is tracing back to its trauma, what happened to it at Division. It's almost like it's Division's fault. Like,
Huh. Would have thought.
Do we feel
like,
that's it?
In
Do you think we're actually, any of us are going to realize that? I don't think so.
In episode 2, as a player, I was like, who at Division is actually responsible for all of this? Was 100% my like gut instinct of like, what horrible person on our team did this?
And you're just cleaning up their mess.
Right. Which takes us to the last one. I think I'm going to connect a group of ghostly Elizas not from previous loops, the Black Pyramid, feeding off their necrotic energy. I actually like. I think I want to connect it to the Door of Power. I actually like the idea, especially with some of the computer themes that we pulled in earlier that we never really. I like the idea of Oracle using these Elijah shades to try to like brute force the Door of Power and research what it was about. Like they were essentially, these shades were essentially like their computing function as they tried to figure out how to make all these different pieces come together.
Because they couldn't get the oldest key to form, right? So they're just trying to brute force.
Right. So they're just like, we're just gonna try to like pick this lock using the secrets known to this shade that they've been cataloging over time. Like we're just gonna pick it apart piece by piece by piece.
Oh no, so sad for Eliza, truly. Just being used. Okay, so I feel we have a theory.
I feel unimportant and taken advantage.
Do you want to take tokens?
It would help, yes, but I don't think it will. I'm just going to sulk instead. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to clarify, because I feel like we pretty much have a full theory here, right? But
you just have to say who the harbinger is.
Yeah. So do we want to say for sure it is another monster that was in the underground
all say
facility?
It at the same time.
Well, actually, I'll put forward a possibility, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Could it be actually a version of Nero? Like they had to split him off because they were feeding him harbingers and he got too powerful? And they used the oldest house to hold him.
I was legitimately thinking, like, what if, like, it's sort of, I like the idea of a split, because I was thinking, like, what if Nero had a twin, but, like, if the twin is also Nero?
Oh my gosh.
And that's
wow,
why
this is some Metal Gear Solid shit. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because to Nero, when he first came in, this would have been like the division were like spies or agents. So that's why everything's framed like spies versus spies with little microcassettes and stuff like that. Like stuff you saw in movies and dreams.
Do we want to zhuzh on this a little bit? I don't know if this is everybody's vibe. So did one of my siblings try to merge with alternate Nero?
Yes.
Oh yeah, maybe they were trying to escape.
Like, like they were like, okay, other people, other tiers won't merge. Like, what about these these other children of Dream?
Oh, so good. Do you have a one in mind, or do you want to say it's Sunny or someone else?
Sunny could be fun. Let me pull up the list. have to go to Google Docs.
I mean, it's a very good list. We definitely have to use it.
Let's see. We've got Akamet's dead. We haven't done anything with Baby Cries Upon First Breath. The wind as it pulls to the boughs of a sapling. We did some. So a merged one. The only one I have listed as merged already is the ecstatic moans of lovers caped in the dark of night, or caped in the dark of night. The thunder rumbles behind the storm clouds. The laughter caught on an evening breeze are the ones that we currently have not used. But we also have sunny, lava cools and hisses, Akamet, a comet screaming through the atmosphere, and the slamming door in the face of a guest. We have all of, as ones we've introduced already. So those are all potential ones.
My vote is like Sunny or the Thunder one, because that's a very cool harbinger idea. The thunder that announces the lightning. But what does everybody
the
think?
baby first death is a thing for a new life.
A baby cries upon first breath.
Yeah. Like trying to make a life of their own by destroying the world. Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, that's also very good. Josh, you make the final call.
I mean, I like, we've had a lot of dream death, so bringing in sort of life to that duality cycle, whatever, feels appropriate.
Very cool, very cool. So
a baby cries upon first breath is also a middle child, classically feels ignored.
Oh yeah, big middle child.
Anything they need to get attention, they will do. So very, very good, very good call on that.
I'm like half the eldest and half the middle child, so I'm really like hurt deeply. Okay, so what is their nickname?
A baby cries upon first breath is their original name. Abba is to Judeo-Christian biblical. How about Bree?
Bree, I like that. Okay, very, very cool. Right, and so I think we see this image of this other Nero hooked up to these devices and the kind of sound, but then it's overtaken by the sound of that breath, right? From this tier. Ooh, so good. Okay, so we know who our harbinger is, right? We know that they were seeking to, unite, some form of unification with this other Nero. We know that they were trying to work with Oracle in order to force their way through the door, right? But what is the ancient door of power? What is it actually?
So I have a pitch on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if it's
looking at what's connected to it, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my question is is the oldest house the door of power? Is it? So we've got all these things of dream and death, right? And we know that the oldest house is investigating the nature of humanity. Is there a level at which the oldest house is the thing that encompasses humanity? It is this metaphorical space in which all human reality exists. And therefore, it's almost so we came in the front door, right? But there is a back door. And if you open it up, the concept is just everything leaks out into the yard, right? It's whatever is outside of the house, and you're not supposed to go out the way. It's a pitch. I don't know that that's exactly there, but it is one that came to me as we were kind of going through things.
Yeah,
a few times.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about it?
I like that idea, particularly because the division came in and changed the house, the oldest house, in order to do its experiments safely. And it's trying to refine its purpose.
It's poor house.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I am on board.
Okay. I feel we've that's a full theory that encompasses everything. all that's left is to roll and to see if
That was
it's
all really
correct.
good. Let's see if it was right.
So who's going to roll? This is always the most
fade to
harrowing.
black. We never know how the roll ended.
What a great stream.
Stream that was.
Oddly enough, I think that's an awesome way to handle it. Yes.
Matthew Wardchilla says it's just a theory, a harbinger's theory.
my
So,
Oh, Matthew, my love.
I mean, I can roll.
Yes.
Since it is also
It's your stream. You're
yeah,
responsible.
so we can all blame Tony later when it
No,
doesn't.
you're gonna. Oh, I'm not allowed to say anything. I am a GM. I'm the keeper.
Let's see. All right, open up Finn's character sheet.
Right. So you're rolling with a +3, basically. Oh, yeah. Actually, like, let's see how it looks like on the sheet.
All right. Yeah, we'll pop it up so folks can see. Unlock Doom's door.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
When you already declare what the door is and how it is unlocked, say what you believe it to be. Connect the keys to the facets of the mystery, revealing the harbinger. Roll and add the number of connected keys minus the mystery's complexity. The roll is not affected by darkest nook response or any other thing. So, like, if you can't connect them all, if you can't figure it out, you can theoretically pass and be like, we don't know. But we did. We're a power gamer, so we connected them all. We're at +3 after all is said and done. And is everybody ready for this? I can't see it immediately because I'm looking at the move.
Yes.
That's
Oh
a
my God.
9.
Oh my God. That was so. Yes. Perfection.
9.
my
You
God.
could not do better. Right in the right down the middle of a good hit. It's my stream, and I'll snake eyes if I want to. Excellent, Mr. Matthew Warchula. You have tracked down Doom's door. You know exactly where it is and how to unlock it. In addition, the Keeper will present an opportunity to protect what matters most, take down the Harbinger, or otherwise drive back the apocalypse.
I love this. Right. And so when this comes to you, I forgot, like, how does it look like narratively? Because we worked it out on a meta level, right? But who was the one who was like, was it all of you at the same time reaching consensus? Was it one of you? Like,
I think it was all of us. Like each of us said a thing and then the other one went, but then, and because it is so tied up with us, like in our past, in our relationship, that I think it was, yeah.
It looked
It tumbled
exactly
out.
like it looked on stream. That was a diegetic conversation that happened.
Yes, exactly.
excellent.
While the battle was starting around us.
Oh yeah.
But they
yeah,
were
yeah,
more
yeah.
witty. Our characters were more witty.
Everything was moving in slow
Okay.
motion while you walk towards Oracle, telling it the truth. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And I think when that happens, the door that you came through closes behind you, and all of the oldest house starts to come undone as the door itself, right? You can feel like as you speak the truth, it resonates with the oldest house, right? And you can feel the door that is the oldest house like open itself up towards the three of you. And that's when our dreaded Harbinger Bree like descends from the pyramid. Oh man, I'm seeing like Rolk. But anyway, so descends from the pyramid, like twists and turns, and like is enveloped in that ichor for a moment before it all drains off. And we see how much they look like both Nero and Finn, right?
We've got to
Ooh, yes.
we've got to know, Nero. You get to decide what's the ship name we have for Bree and Nero combined.
I first thought trying to combine the like knee, and I'm like, no. But knowing fandom stuff, yeah, I would have to either be knee or like Brero.
I
don't know if
Matthew
there's a-
Warchilla in the chat says Brero, but it is BREA because it's short for breath, and so
Right.
it's BREA. But yes, chat does agree. 3-year-old. But it also could be like, so they're the way I wrote my siblings nomenclature, the sounds change when they merge. So if you want to pick a totally different sound, like what is the combination of a stomach rumbling and a baby crying? What's the space in between that, right?
Oh, I mean, like, it makes me think of like a baby crying because they're upset and hungry, which is just like throwing a tantrum of some sort, right?
Like a whale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the wail of a young child unfed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so good. What the heck? Okay. So yeah, I think this is when whale descends from above, right? And it really like that sound, that screech, that hunger like emanates from it, and we get flashes. I think like Nero in particular, like you are overwhelmed by these memories that are surfacing of you being there in the basement, right? Oh my gosh, you have one condition left. Do I do this? I got, but it makes.
I mean, I do have the, what is it?
Yeah, might as well. Let's see how hard I can push. It's all for science. It's all for the people can see it. But it just really makes sense in this moment. But don't worry, I'm still gonna give everyone a golden opportunity as is a result of this role. So Nero, like you see those moments, right? Where like this other you that was like not responding well to like this forced treatment from division as like reaching out, like asking for your help, right? How did you turn away from this other you? How did you refuse to help them?
I think that Nero sees the opportunity to like, there was some point, when Division was sort of feeding all these former harbingers to Nero, right? And then the split happened, there's all of that. There was some opportunity that allowed Nero to get out of that situation. He's still kind of within Division, but has more free reign, right? So I think whatever that scenario was, or maybe offered the choice, it was like, kind of you can both be down here forever, or maybe one of you kind of flip on the other, right? And I think Nero did, and maybe the other one didn't, like expecting like, sort of a prisoner's dilemma kind of deal, expecting that, oh no, we'll both persevere, right, and figure out something else. But Nero was like, no, I'm selfish and hungry.
Oh my gosh, terrible. Okay. So I'm gonna say go ahead and mark a condition, which should bring you, so I'm just gonna explain this for people watching. Normally when you mark your last condition, which is a little different from some other PBTA games, like usually with other games, it's you get another chance to like, if you're asked to mark again. But I'm slightly cruel. I feel like it just makes more sense that once you hit the last one, that's it. So normally Nero is supposed to hit their breaking point, right? Which is something that their monster is forced to contend with and face as their emotions overwhelm them, as the conditions overwhelm them. But are you going to look at Until Only Hunger Remains?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what that looks like.
So Until Only Hunger Remains, when I'm about to hit my breaking point, which I am now, I can choose to give into desperation and feed on yourself instead, allowing the hunger within you to grow stronger. So mark 1 ruin and tick Only Hunger Remains once, clear all your conditions, and choose 3 new unmarked hunger conditions. So I clear. Does that clearing all conditions include my current hunger conditions as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So clearing all of those, and choose 3 unmarked.
Yeah.
From the drop down, there's ravenous, twisted, brutal, despairing, volatile. Definitely ravenous. I'm gonna go volatile and despairing.
Oh, and the Roll20 sheet is so sexy because it automatically fills it in for you on the other side. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
It's very nice to use.
It's very sexy. Yeah, so what does it look like when you feed on yourself instead, right? Instead of giving into this breaking point.
Yeah, I think it's not pretty looking. In this sort of desperate moment, confronted by his past and this twin self, but also something else now. And yeah, I think it's rather pitiable looking, right? I think even when Nero's sort of losing control, there's still something kind of cool about it, right? But like this moment is truly desperate, right?
Trying to not feel bad.
Much gnashing of teeth is involved, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I like that so much. Oh, I feel so bad for Nero, even though they're horrible.
He's terrible.
He's terrible. He's so awful. Okay, so and then when also for people watching, once this clock is ticked, the hungry only has so many ticks left before only the hunger remains, and you can read what happens. It's very, very sad and very horrible. Okay, so but for now we're okay, right? You're able to like pull yourself together, and the harbinger has revealed themselves. You are here at the heart of the oldest house, right? You know that you are the only thing standing between the door and Whale in this moment. And so you know that they've been trying to brute force their way to unlock it, right? So Eliza, you don't have to unlock the door. I'm going to say this now. But you do know that the house has been watching you for a long time, right? There's a moment when all these projectors fall down, like it starts to reveal through the screens, and we see each time Vincent died and what it did to you, and you are overwhelmed with the knowledge that only you know how to unlock the door. And the oldest witch reaches out and places their hands on your shoulders and says, "It is love. It is sacrifice. You know that if you kill Vincent yourself, that you will unlock Doom's door, that the oldest house will now belong to you, and all its power and all its secrets." So that is one opportunity I am offering you. And when I say this, the oldest witch like turns to you, Eliza, and says, "When Vincent died the first time and you did not let him go, it was because it was on death terms and not yours. But dread archivist Eliza Corbin, you are ready to fully take on the mantle of death. There is no one else that can do it. When you kill Vincent, he will become something beyond alive, beyond dead. Something that I can only dream of," they say. And so I'm going to let you think about that for a moment, Eliza, and what that means. But the other two of you understand that if someone takes the oldest house and claims it for themselves, Oracle cannot take it. So whether or not that's Eliza or someone else, there's a reason that only the three of you have been able to survive up to this point. What do we do?
I think that Eliza takes the suitcase from the oldest witch.
I think we see the counter slowly starting to tick. Like it's not ticking, but it's moving.
Mhm. And she has those circuits, and everything. And I think there's just that weird moment where you can see she's holding the suitcase. It's almost become like a briefcase more than anything else. And she puts her hand out, and all of those wires, fibers, that life death kind of reaches up towards the bottom of the pillar where he's hanging.
Where Vincent's hanging. Mhm.
Yeah. And she sort of walks up it like it's a stairway. I mean, it's like she's got like that train and it's behind her, and she's carrying that suitcase. And she gets close to Vincent. And she goes, "Are you ready to die?"
And I think in that moment, we see wreath as fire as he is. He turns his head to look at you and his eyes slowly open. And there is only fire and there is only love. And we can see like slowly the worship that was forced into him is starting to fade. And we see that void starting to fill his soul, his being. And ooh, how this void wants to worship Finn in strange and terrible ways. And Vincent says, "It was my fault that you died."
And she stops and she goes, "No. That's the thing, Vin. It never was. Not your fault, not my fault. It happened to us both."
Eliza, I'm so sorry. I fed that secret to the oldest house. I just didn't want you to remember. And he told me all these things. And he looks up towards Whale and he says, and if I just didn't want to remember, and I didn't want you to remember, but, and then he picks up the gun and he says, "I'm ready."
And all she does is she leans in and she kisses his forehead. And that's it.
Oh, are you going to kill Vincent in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like when he dies?
Like he's just a person, but he's hanging there in something, but he just falls like a body with no animate anymore, like a little bit out of her reach. After she's just kissed him, like it startles her how quickly and how mundane and needy it is. And she sort of reaches her hands out to touch him, but then kind of pulls them back. And you see like she wants to do something like pull his spirit back to her, but she sort of covers her face so she can't see its ascent or descent. So she can't see it as it leaves. She lets his soul go.
Exactly. And he starts to drop, right? Like the body moves so quickly, gravity overtaking it. Whale reaches out to like grab the body, but like it disappears as it touches them. And we see like this effervescent soul, whatever it is, it's starting to be transformed as we see the full mantle of death start to settle all around you, dread archivist Eliza Corbin. And the door starts to like open up. The entire house starts to shift and move and dream and come awake. The Harbinger is desperate. The Harbinger could not claim the door, could not claim Ascension. Finn and Nero, if you don't do something, Whale is going to make sure that they're going to hurt as many people as possible before they lose.
It's the equivalent of a fastball special in Apocalypse Keys. How do I throw Nero at Whale? No, I think I'm looking at my moves. Sorry.
Take your time. This is a big moment. No problem.
We watch this, we watch this kind of knowing connection between them. We flash over to this scene with Eliza and Vincent, and we come back over, and I think like we see just like faced off against each other, kind of Nero and Finn across from this creature Whale, and there's there's power and energy crackling around. There's still these creatures fighting in the background, and like I think I walk up to them, like put my hands on either side of their face, and I just say, "Look what a disgrace you've made of yourself." And then as they go to respond, I'm going to use Holy Symbol Arsenal. I
Oh my god, amazing.
am going to let's see. Let me actually I accidentally clicked the wrong thing on the move. Hold on, and I hit it instead of
No problem. No problem.
making it invisible. So Holy Symbol Arsenal Division creates a collection of certified holy symbols and assigns them to agents as needed. You have a divine resonance with a number of holy symbols, but the priests technicians warn you that arsenal may be dangerous to monsters like you.
Yeah. So when you dampen your powers of darkness in order to use the holy symbol arsenal,
we're gonna go
how?
three.
Ooh.
Always.
Ooh.
Oh, why? When you're godling to godling, you always gotta go. Max out.
Which symbol are you using? Are you reaching out for?
Yeah.
Is it yours or someone else's?
I think I go like I slip my hands down from their face and I go to embrace them and I reach my hand in their pocket and I pull out Breeze Rattle. And then as I pull back, I just essentially what almost looks like boop them on the nose, but it's also it's somewhere between that and a simple sign of benediction. And we're gonna roll to see what actually happens, if anything happens. Oh no, I need this one.
Disastrous success.
Excellent.
Let me describe the divine vision first, and then you can decide if you want to. It's you can spend bonds, but it's not so bad what happens on that. Disastrous. It's okay. So, the divine vision that you receive is when Whale in their previous form is Bree, right? You can see they were running through the corridors of Division and they were listening to these twisted voices, and you realize they were listening to all of your siblings that did not survive the unification process unscathed, right? And you realize that this poor sibling of yours has been carrying their twisted, corrupted, broken remains within them. And they whisper, "Close, you're almost there. They're so hungry. They're starving. They need you." And you can see that moment touched by divinity. And it's like, as you're watching it, you can see the poetry that forms. You realize that there were like people all over the world that received this divine vision of wail becoming wail, right? Of this cry becoming the scream of hunger, like leaning into Nero, this other Nero, saying, "I will not abandon you. I will love you always until the end of all things." And the screaming voices all say together, "Until the end of all things." So, what do you do to this poor, wretched harbinger with your disastrous success?
Yeah. Like we see this like boop and then this sign of benediction, and then the rattle grows into a giant spiked mace-like weapon. And I smash it down into Bree's skull. So I create a weapon of darkness and use it to immediately destroy my enemies. Mark 1 rune. I think as we see this happen, like, I also then like reached out and grabbed their chest. I'm going to select mutilate a target and render them weak for now. I know they're destroyed. We'll talk about what exactly that means narratively. But I think I rip it off and like kick what remains of Nero's double out of this form. So the mutilation is actually like a rendering of soul. I'm going to call upon dark entities to take up residence in my mind, heart, or soul of my choosing. I'm going to choose my own soul. I think the other half, the part that was Bree, merges into Finn.
No! Oh my God. Holy cow. Along with all those other voices is what I'm going to ask. Like,
no, I think that's like the mutilation.
That's
is
the
like
one
the
that, that's the
total
one that you
separation.
destroyed.
Like, it's, yeah, that's all the shit I kicked out. Like this
nice.
is an actual like true merging as the tears are intended to merge. It's not a pleasant or good process, but like it's either this or leave my sibling in this like horribly compromised, like egregious state. And so,
oh my gosh, what does it sound
stopping
like
them
when
is consuming them. Yeah, the new name of Finn, the final sigh before closing of eyes, and a baby cries.
The whale, actually, the whale against.
Well, no, because I separated them out, so this would be back to being Bree.
Right. Oh, that's right. That's true. That's true.
So like, there's a restoration here, right? Like it's horrible, it's dark, it's violent, but it is like a merciful type of killing. I don't know. Come back to me in a second. I'll have an answer for you on what that looks like.
No, 100%. Right. So like we see that unification process happening as the door opens up, and Nero, there is a moment when this twin of yours like stands up and looks at you, and like they just like, for a moment, they look so pitiful, right? But they catch your eyes and you can see like that flash of anger. Like, I don't need your pity. Like you can see it like boiling up in them as they draw their shoulders back, right? And you can see like their flesh moves and spikes up as they start to harden, and it becomes almost like an exoskeleton around their face, full of all these eyes and teeth, and they become insect-like as they like stand up to their full height. And like they snap like this wretched claw of a finger, and all these other Neros appear. And this twin of yours looks at you and says, "You have broken too many rules and too many laws. There is no consuming me now," they say. So what's going to happen is I'm going to walk out this door and I'll come and see you again, little brother.
Well, we can't let that happen.
Of course not. I'm just saying this to
Of
like
course not.
set things up for you.
Right.
But you
Right.
do sense what they're saying is true, right? That the laws have been broken and shattered again and again. And you can feel like the oldest house is doing everything it can to hold it together. Right? Yeah. So what do you do?
So I think sensing in that moment that perhaps consuming this other Nero would just sort of, I think, set the oldest house off that ledge further. I think I want to like reach out and not in like a let's reconcile my other self. It's like, no, this is mean and malicious right now. And I want to ask the other Nero to give into their hunger, but themselves, like, and just consume themselves.
Oh my gosh. That is like horrifying. I assume you want to pick up tokens for doing that. Yeah. Do you have a specific move in mind, or is this like unleashing the dark and forcing them?
Yeah, I think either this is unleashing the darkness to force them, or again, depending on scale relative here, power through darkness. Because it's more of just trying to get this other Nero to give in to that. Because Nero knows what the hunger is like. It's always there. There's always this temptation. So why not just give all the way in, but like in a very self-destructive kind of way.
I mean, absolutely. I have one suggestion, which is very, very awful. I noticed that you picked the move Enthralled by You.
Oh, yes, I do have that one.
It's a horrible thing, though. Like, no good things can come from that move. So I just want you to double check first if that's what you want. If not, I would say Power Through Darkness.
I don't think Nero wants this other Nero to be around anymore. He knows he can't consume it himself. So he's trying to, while this other Nero is still weak and vulnerable, perhaps, to trip up and fall to the hunger.
Ooh, definitely feels like Power Through Darkness then. All right. Okay. So how many tokens are we?
I'm going to spend 2 tokens and roll. 8.
Amazing. So good. So good. Okay. So on an 8, you use your powers with great precision and effect, changing the situation before you. Additionally, the keeper may offer you a reprieve, a golden opportunity, or a bond with someone. So when you say what you say, right, you can feel that hunger. And this is almost like that moment of the twin moons, right? The gravity between the two of you, these two separate, distinct forms of the hunger, but are also the same, right? And when you say that, you can see like all those eyes across their exoskeleton like fill with fear, right? But all the other Neros nod and say, yes, this is what we want. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically like the other Neros like offer their hand and take this what was once whale like deeper into the dark towards the Black Pyramid. We can see like they're trying to resist, but the call of the hunger is too strong. But on the other side, right, waiting under the pyramid, you see them, the first victim, waiting. And they just nod at you, and all you see are those amber eyes flickering in the dark before it fades to black under the pyramid. And you hear the hunger becoming stronger. So please take a bond with your victim. You've given them a great gift and they appreciate it. Excellent. So I remember Tony, you were coming up with like this new name for who you are.
Yeah, so I think like, you know, all of this happens. Like I guess let's ask this because we should do it in the show. It's what it matters. Like, who is the first person to see the new me? Because it's not just going to be a name change. Like there's a substantive reality shift that happens.
Oh my gosh.
Is it Eliza? Is it Nero as he turns back? Is it?
Yeah. Ooh.
It's the oldest witch who holds all the dream stuff.
Ooh. That's true. Who was just like witnessing and watching you the whole time. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we see the shot over the oldest witch's thing, and the like it's somewhat fuzzed out for a second as like light and sound crescendo. We see the same kind of swirling revelation of flesh after this ultra violent scene that we probably cut away for and just saw like, you know, weird splatter and stuff from. And it's like we see the sense of like the same kind of general cut of suit that I started in. However, it's not quite the same as it starts to sharpen in. We see this kind of short, like the hair is still short, but it's significantly longer. As all of a sudden, a significantly shorter, much more lithe form turns around and like flips a bowler hat onto their head, and it's this very kind of dashing, tomboyish woman who turns around, and we see the child stirs in fevered sleep, also known as Fev, who is the amalgamation of Bree and Finn.
Oh, so good. Excellent. And I think like when you reveal yourself, the oldest witch steps forward, right? And we can see that flickering power come again as the harbinger gives into the hunger completely. And then we see that black pyramid, like it flickers in and out. Oracle is unable to keep its form in here as the door has fully opened. And we see that the oldest house belongs to Dread Archivist Eliza Corbin, as the oldest witch says. There will always be the oldest house. And there will always be secrets within it, truths that need to be locked and unlocked, kept safe and unsafe. But there will always be an archivist to categorize it. And they smile and they reach out towards you, Fev, and they say, "You have made a great sacrifice and have been rewarded for it. But how do you feel?"
I think I bow. I take the oldest witch's hand. I kiss it. I pull her in close, and I say, "I feel like things are about to get a lot more interesting."
Fascinating. Is that where we want to end the session?
That's a good season one closing line. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Do we need a post-credit scene for Nero? Just to make sure
we
he gets
do.
his
We're going to go into post-credit scenes for sure. But I just wanted to, so I think everyone gets like a one post-credit moment at least, right? I mean, I did say that the oldest house belongs to you, Eliza, but is it something that you want to keep?
I think that is what her epilogue is that like it's Eliza's house now, and she's made it a house again, right? And it's like, you know, it's like one of those houses where there are bookcases everywhere and beautiful things that have been collected, and it's this sort of thing that you can follow through, but there's also like a really homey kitchen and those things. And so she's sort of come in there and you see her put the case on the kitchen table, and she stops and she goes, "Well," she leans forward, "I guess this is when we find out." And she opens the case. And
like we see the oldest cat, like, you know, when a cat like is hit by light, all of a sudden, like, right, and starts to yawn, but in mid yawn, how dare you? And they're still in the middle of the same indignation as if time had not passed for them. Right?
She goes, oh, good, alive. Congratulations.
Excellent. And then what do we see for Fev?
I think we see the same arcade that we saw at the very beginning, and it starts to like frame in like the exact same way it did. It's pushing in past people moving around, but it then like it pushes past the like, you know, kind of retro arcade machine that he was playing at, kind of getting lost in just the light and sound, and it pushes in further and further, and all of a sudden you hear like very rhythmic music as we see Fev with their jacket off, like just absolutely demolishing somebody at whatever this universe's Dance Dance Revolution equivalent is inside the thing, knowing that much has changed, but like that much is still the same.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say it's the next to you, we pan and it looks like a normal human who's next to you dancing, but we realize it's the oldest witch in disguise.
Love it.
With the human form, the latest agent for Division.
Love it.
Our new Omen class monster. And how about for Nero?
So I think Nero's post-credit scene also is like a post-credit. You know, there's like these sort of more epilogue-ish ones explaining he gets some more credits, and then for Nero, it's you know, he's kind of back in Division. He managed to survive all this. He's still a smug asshole, but it's in like that break room, and I think the camera starts with like another of this dumb doodle of like the adventures like hanging up on the fridge, and it's literally just like kind of half in frame. Nero just sort of angrily walks up and yanks it off the refrigerator and like crumples it up, and then, you know, it cuts to black immediately after that.
We just hear like in the background like this gasp from the office.
Like, who keeps putting these up?
I mean, we did. I don't remember what we named the receptionist. But,
yeah.
Oh no, but
Oh,
the
yeah,
receptionist was
that's
the fan cams though,
right.
So we don't know if it's the same person.
Oh, that's right.
Who's doing
The mystery remains.
It's true. That's the next mystery. Complexity 8.
Complexity 20.
Oh no, that's a good mechanical. Oh no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna design on stream. Okay. I better write this down. Along with the brunches. Okay.
And then we all see it. Then we smash cut to brunch.
Yeah, and I think the last thing we see is we cut back to the oldest cat, like licking themselves furiously, right? Being really upset here in this new version of the oldest house that has settled around you, Eliza. And then that's when you hear the door open and you hear a familiar voice that says, Eliza? And we realize it's Vincent before. That's how we end.
Well, let's do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of the game we just played and talk to them about playing that game today. We are sitting down with Rae and talking about Apocalypse Keys, which we have been doing over 4 parts for the last few weeks. I had an absolute blast playing. But Rae, for people who joined us late, are catching this part somehow out of sync, whatever it may be, why don't you tell people a little bit about Apocalypse Keys?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Apocalypse Keys is a chunky kaiju baby of mine. It is a Powered by the Apocalypse game where you get to play monsters that must fight monsters in order to hold back the apocalypse. You are working for the shadowy division. But in a game like Apocalypse Keys, your feelings are just as epic as your powers are, basically. So, which we got to see quite a bit of today, I think, which was very cool.
I love it. I had an absolute blast. Let's meet some of the other creators on the project, or one of the other creators on the project. Also, just our players. Let's go to Sherri first. Sherri, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, but what it was like for the last couple of years for you to play Apocalypse Keys?
Yeah, well, let's see here. I always felt honored whenever I get to play test some of Rae's games, but Apocalypse World Apocalypse Keys was crazy right out of the gate because they could do such big things, and it was sort of mind-blowing. And I remember playing my first little like statue girl. She was like a holy spirit inside a statue, and all she wanted was for someone to like show her how real people were and that kind of thing. And it was just like so lovely. Like I like kidnapped this poor child out of their place, the nunnery where they had made their vows, and was going to take them back to America with me too. I mean, it was just like everything I did was monstrous, but it was just in the things of just wanting to be a normal girl. It was really lovely. But I was so hesitant because the moves were so big, and I was like, oh, Rae can't mean for it to be this big. And then as we played it more and I started to understand it, I was like, wow. And of course we worked our hardest to break it as much as we could, so that when they put it together, it actually did work and made for great story, that there were no stoppers. And yeah, every iteration I play has gotten more polished, bigger. In fact, the solution to big moves was bigger moves and the bigger scope of everything that we did. And you can see the result now. I see the text and my eyes tear up because it's so polished and it's so perfect. And wow, just an amazing experience to have been through.
I know you've had a lot of chance to talk to Rae about the game over time, but do you have any questions you want to ask Rae, or is there something you would love to let other people hear them talk about?
Well, I know that in the Kickstarter, you are having some more playbooks added. Now, how did you decide which ones you were going to do, and how did you choose who you were going to have write them?
Oh, well, Josh was like a non-choice.
Yes.
Like Josh was no, because like, so the thing about playbooks, and what I'm saying now, I really want to not dissuade people from making playbooks because we already have an awesome one of the Herald and stuff like that. I just want to say from my perspective, as the creator, making Apocalypse Keys playbooks are very difficult because like the mechanics and the narratives are so intricate and intertwined. It can be, there's lots of moving pieces, so it can be very difficult to make a playbook. In fact, as much as I love The Hungry, it really took like a whole month compared to the first few. Well, but the first few were, I got to refine over time. But yeah, it was a lot of hard work. And so Sean was like, we're not going to do playbooks, right? As stretch goals is what Sean said. And I was like, Sean, I know you said that, but so this hasn't been revealed yet. So this is a +1 XP like exclusive. But the idea started because like I really, really wanted to do another playbook because I couldn't stop dreaming about it and thinking about it. So Josh knows this. I really wanted, actually Sherri does too, because I talked to Sherri about this a bit. I really want to make a ghostwriter playbook because like I love the concept of ghostwriter. I just love the idea of like and similar things like these, like the Spectre and Dr. Fate. I just really love these vessels, right? Who contain like something unknowable and monstrous, but they're also like here to force laws upon the world. Like I just love that concept so much. And I was like, I have no idea how the playbook is going to work, but I really want it to happen if we can make it happen in a stretch goal. And it felt really weird to be like, okay, I'm going to be only the one person with a playbook in a stretch goal. I have to come up with like 2 more. So Sebastian, you came to mind because I've seen their work and I'm really, really impressed with what they do. And so I got to work with them a little bit for Memory Hunter. And what really, really impressed me was that in a relatively short amount of time, Sebastian was able to write this beautiful maze that felt really aligned with my intentions for the game, but was also completely their own voice. And that is so hard as a designer, right? To like fully embody someone else's idea and then to make it your own. Like that is I was so impressed. Like that was just such good work. And I thought, oh man, so I feel like Sebastian can do it. And like in terms of like which playbooks to choose, Sebastian sent in 3 pitches. It was very hard to choose one. I just chose the most queer one. I'm going to be honest. So that's why we have the Untethered as a stretch goal. But with Josh, it feels like in a lot of ways when we were working together week after week, I'm like I think it was like a couple of months when we were like talking about the last bits of Apocalypse Keys and working on it. I just felt like Josh really understood the playbooks almost better than I did. So I just felt like if anyone else can like figure out a playbook, I can figure out how to write it. And I don't have to worry about it. It's going to be Josh. So that's basically like how that shook out. And then in terms of like picking a pitch, I just told Josh, you can write whatever you want. I'm just gonna be okay with it. So that's how we got the Chained, which is very, and I'm really excited about the Chained because the Chained leans into some really cool themes that I purposely left at the table. Like, because there is this insinuation, right, as a monster that works for Division, that the Division can be your oppressors or their handlers or a suggestion of it, but I didn't want to build it into the game, right? Because there's already enough themes of marginalization and oppression that I didn't want to go too hard on it. So I like how whatever Josh is going to write is going to be an opportunity to lean into that if you want to. But also knowing Josh is going to be like lots of room for like exploration and like execution. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah.
Awesome. Josh, speaking of after hearing all those good things about yourself, tell us a little bit about what you thought about Apocalypse Keys.
I can say nice things about Josh all day. So.
No, I love Apocalypse Keys. I think the first time I saw it was still in its itch incarnation.
Possibly no, it was on Patreon.
Yeah. And I love the concept, partly because it had a bit of that inspiration and DNA from Hellboy, BPRD, which I also love. I love the comics. I love the movies. There's just cool stuff in it. And also just like how much of Apocalypse Keys is about this sort of emotional journey, but still being a fun and engaging action adventure mystery. And I love the mystery of it. And I love collaborative mysteries and not knowing how the mystery ends, particularly as a GM. Like as a player, you kind of are always in that position, but I love also being in that position as a GM because sometimes I like to find things out too when I'm running a game, and being able to share that experience with the players, I think, is always just exciting. And you throw a bunch of maladjusted monsters trying their best to save the world. It's just icing on the cake, right? So it was very exciting to see it for the first time, and then to be asked to and brought in to be involved with it has been fantastic and just really, really cool experience.
Anything you want to ask Rae or have them talk about?
One thing that I'm excited for, and these are also some stretch goal parts, are the Division branches. Which branches,
not brunches, right? Yet.
Not yet. It's down the line. We've had these conversations about how people grow kind of attached to the Division and this sort of almost slice of life aspect of it as like this quasi amorphous downtime experience. So for those who don't know, and also Rae, jump in because it's your game, but the Division branches are like little extra pieces that let the table explore extra elements about the Division. So it's sort of this for people who want to have that break room experience at this bizarre secretive organization, and like just the sort of absurd contrast of these monsters at the water cooler. Like I think the Division branches offer an opportunity to explore that, but it's not like a specific sort of phase of play you're locked into. So I think it gives people a lot of fun flexibility to explore the elements that they grow attached to and become interested in as they expand their game of Apocalypse Keys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, it was, the division branches felt like a natural thing because in every playtest I did, people would be so upset if I started the mystery right at the mystery. They'd be like, wait, we're monsters.
We did.
Yeah. I was very cruel. I pushed you in hard. Because it can take like a whole session. That first session is like, and so when people brought it up, I was like, really? You want to, I underestimated how important it is for people to like create like this home base, right? Like this feeling of groundedness and where they come from. And so it's been really, and people get so excited about building their own division and what that looks like compared to other division branches. In every game I played, it's been really fun to see how it's slightly different each time. And so, but it can also take a lot of creative energy, right? And so with the division branches, I wanted to have them be sources of inspiration. They're kind of built, the one that I have so far for Project Hourglass that I've worked on, which, was a stretch goal that was funded. Thank you so much. We also funded the art, so there'll be art for it. I'm very excited. The art's like one of my favorite parts. But yeah, and so it was really, and this is, I had to bring in Josh to like work on this with me. It was really hard to like nail that vibe of this branch is weird and cool and supernatural things happen, but also it's cozy and there are office politics and people get crushes and stuff, right? It was kind of like, and so the tech is kind of similar to how a mystery is in some places, but then, and I have to give credit to Josh because like he came up with the idea of like, what if there are like events, right? Like sort of like the way that he described it was, what if this branch grows and changes in between the mysteries? Right. And so I came up with the idea of events and like lining out possible things that can happen in between. And really the way that you use division branches is it can be your home base or it could be one of the branches you visit. And then from there, it can like inform and like inspire different mysteries and how the story moves forward. So so the division branches are really exciting. It didn't feel like it was necessary for like the core book, which is already so chunky. It is so, my kaiju baby is so huge, but it felt like a really good like supplement material for people who are looking for it. So I'm really excited about division branches and what they can do. It just really is a good example of like how the player experience and play testing can better inform the development of a game. I think like I would not have thought of that at all if it hadn't been for my players bringing up division all the time, like and wanting to go back all of the time. So
yeah. It was one of my favorite parts of the playtest. It's really great to see even just from the playtest past how it went. Like actually, I think Rae, the first time you and I substantively interacted was during the playtest when I was like, tell me about the loops you envision for this. Cause I was just watching my group like spam keys and do other like, and I was like, there's really great loops in each of the playbooks. And like, for me, it was really fun to come back tonight and be like, wait, crap. I picked 3 powers that basically let me strike a ruin.
Yeah.
Like, and then achieve an overwhelming amount of, I just say stuff. My character just lies about stuff and it's real now. And I loved it. Like I've loved the structure of things from the get-go, but like getting to then come back and experience like, oh, like what is the loop in this book and what are the thing that's happening? Even watching like Dread Archivist Eliza go from like, hey, here's where it's up and up and up and up, like was just really tremendous. And there's like, I'm not somebody who is like, I don't like certain games that might be very popular, like forcing people into system mastery, but I do love when the concise list of moves build on each other in very unique ways. Because there's other very different ways to play the Fallen than the way I played them, but by also picking up like the one division move was like, I can be the guy who has weird things in his pockets, but also be the person who like lies and charms and does all that stuff. And the ability to do both of those things are both of my 2 favorite things to do as a character. So like, it's great to be able to like customize that out, but just watching how those different pieces can all build on each other is very cool. Cause the moves start out very, very strong, but even then you can get to the point where you can do it. But it also basically was like, I can do that anytime I want, as long as I'm willing to take a ruin and push myself further and further down that track of things. Right. So it feels very good. We talked about this a little bit before the stream, but a mutual friend of ours, Jay Dragon, was over for dinner last night and has just moved to Philly. And we were like talking about like, hey, we need to start a regular like in-person game, right? And what do we want to start? And what do we want to play? It was like, here's some of the things that I want to do, and here's all the things that I want. And like was talking about like they love like, you know, big like pieces of magic in games that do really specific things that you can talk about what it looks like and all these other pieces. And we were talking about some of the things that we wanted. I was like, I want Advancement to matter. And really I was like, Jay, it sounds like we really just want to play Apocalypse Keys. But we were talking specifically about like, we want something that can be ongoing and somewhat West March's style, like over arcs, right? Not like every session, but like, hey, we're going to be playing for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Here's the adventure. Whoever shows up, shows up. And the ability to have like all the different division branches and be like, here's the branch we're centered out of and we're going to make our own. But also like if you're from another branch and you're just showing up for this set, like is stuff we were getting really, really excited about. But we also talked about like, we just want to do the weird Hellboy comic thing where it's like, you might have gotten super powerful and almost into the world, but at the beginning of the next story arc, you're back to just like base level. Like, and then you've got to kind of ramp up again over and over again. And some things will be the same, but like, there's just so much here that more than any other PBTA game, I'm like, I would love to just, and like Sherri mentioned this from the beginning, I want to play this character for 3 years. And so Jay and I were like, we're just going to do that. We're just going to reset them repeatedly. I mean, we won't get 3 years out of a character probably, but we get 1.5 years, 2 years maybe. So, but it was basically just saying we're going to engage in comic book continuity. And if you want to push them to the end of one of their tracks, you can whenever you want, you know, all that stuff. But like, there's just a whole lot of really tremendous breadth to what you can do within the system. And I know a lot of people think about a like Powered by the Apocalypse games that way a lot, and there is a lot of that there, but because they tend to be so specifically genre emulationist and the playbooks are written to be a certain thing, you don't have some of that freedom in other ways. And so the way you've done Apocalypse Keys playbooks to hit on the emotional core of the character rather than the archetypal like trope role is tremendous and allows for more of that. Because this was an emotional arc, you can always go home, calm down, and and then play some more and get really pissed to get off again or fall in love again or do whatever again. And I just think that it's really, really beautiful to actually like see it all come together in the way that it is right now. So I'm super excited. I don't think I have a thing I want you to talk about a lot because it's already been 3 hours and 14 minutes, which is not to say we don't, but my spouse is already like, and you're coming to bed when? Because also our friend Jay Dragon was over till 3 a.m. in the morning last night. So I have to get done. Wherever we start, you did miss the play. We were just doing our post game follow up. But everything's live on YouTube right now. You can watch the entire series over on our YouTube channel if you want to head over there. We are just finishing up. The question I'll ask you a Kickstarter question. You've already given us some great reveals, other stuff like that. You've got 16 days to go. You're already well funded, have a lot of things that are happening with this. You talked about kind of like, hey, other people making playbooks, and you've lived with this game for the last, 2 to 3 years or longer. Are there other things you want to do with Apocalypse Keys going forward, right? Like, I know there's a point at which you got to be like, I'm done with this, right? But like, after you've had the chance to breathe and take a break, is there stuff that you want to come back and explore a little bit more in it?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I feel like one of the things that's super important to me about Apocalypse Keys and is important in all of my games is I want the license to be as flexible and open as possible. So to invite other people to make things within Apocalypse Keys, because I would not have been able to make Apocalypse Keys in the first place if I didn't have other games that mechanically and thematically inspired it. But I feel like once other people start to go in and make their own playbooks, make their own mysteries, make their own division branches, right? All these other things. It'll open up more opportunities for me too. I think like in terms of like the mysteries, there's still so much to uncover. It was, the book comes with like quite a few mysteries, but I can see myself like writing so many more. But I'm also really excited to see like the possibilities of the tech, because like I'm just such a mechanical geek that I'm really excited to see what the other possibilities are. But also my favorite trick is to make another game within the same setting. So like, for example, with Brinkwood, I made a BOB game and a Trophy Dark game. So I'd like to do that for Apocalypse Keys, like make another game within the game, like maybe one that takes place in Division, maybe that's like from a different perspective, right? Maybe even from the Harbinger side, that would be super fun. So
I love it. I love it. I'm super excited. If people have not gone yet, TTRPG.link/KeyKS is the best place to go. It's been such a great fun to have Sherri on for the first time. Rae, always a blast to have you on. Josh, great to have you back. And it's always good when we have not just the primary creator, but other people who have been involved with playtesting, other things, have been able to walk alongside the game for a while. So thank you both for the work you did to help Apocalypse Keys get orders. Rae, thank you so much for making such a great game, coming on with us. Speaking of great games, rather than promoting upcoming streams, though we do have some really great ones, let me tell you about some cool stuff that's in the +1 shop over at +1exp.com. You could get the Together We Go Fall Bundle, which does have Deathgrind Megastructure by Josh Hiddy in it, and Memory Hunters, the game that Rae wrestlers with Sebastian Yu in there also, along with Through the Void, which is my lethal sci-fi thing. Together We Go is our house OSR system. It is kind of old school inspired, but has heavily rich narrative mechanics. If you like games where you get to say really cool things and do really cool things, you should go check out this bundle of great games by 3 great creators. Plus, there's a pamphlet adventure called The Factory, which is by Stella Condry and Thomas Novosel in that bundle also. Or you can pre-order while you're over there the Vroomzine bundle, which has Cars by Adira Slattery and Renegade Racers by Keegan EXE, one of the leaders of the cult here on +1 EXP. So there's a lot of really cool games. We drop about 2 games a month currently, 2 to 3 games a month over on +1 EXP. A great way to support the stream and support the creators of those games, because we do profit share with everybody. So when you buy one of those games, half the proceeds go back to the creator of that game. Half of it helps support the stream, cover the cost, and get it shipped out to you also too. It's a great way to do that. So go check out those great games over at +1exp.com. If you are able, follow us at +1exp, but again, go to TTRPG.link/KeysKS to check out the Kickstarter of Apocalypse Keys. Back it. If you're not in a place where you can back it right now, back it at even $1 helps boost the algorithm over on Kickstarter, help people discover it more readily, or share it on social media, or share it with a GM or a friend you know who you think might be interested in it. Anything you can do to help get the word out, even if you can't support it financially, is a great thing to help other people discover the game. So I'd really encourage you, go check it out and share it. If you already backed it, share it again anyways, just for fun. With that said, we've never figured out a good way to end streams here on +1 EXP, and at this point, we're not even interested in trying. We're just going to wave at the camera until I take us off air.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.